Hey, welcome everybody. We are live. Welcome to yet another Wine and Comics pairing show. So bear with me here. We're going to try to stream live to Instagram for the very first time, as well as our usual Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. So I have to go and now click this go live over on Instagram after we've gone live here in StreamYard. Oh, it works. Holy shit. All right. Now I'm going to close that tab so it doesn't get in the way. All right. So hopefully that just continues to stream and I didn't have to leave that open. We're going to find out. And first, of course, announcements before we bring on our very special guests today. And we do have very special returning guests today. That's going to be super cool. But we are in, if you look at the banner down there that we have scrolling at the bottom of the screen, or the QR code in the upper, your right-hand side, our left-hand side kind of a thing, that QR code will take you to ArmageddonQuest.com, which takes you to the Armageddon Quest Kickstarter. We are in our final 32 hours, folks. This is it. This is your last chance. We're going to come back and do it again. It's not really
absolutely. We're going to get annoying.
Last chance. Never again. We're never going to try it again. Your last chance to get in on Armageddon Quest. This is an actual 1980s classic, black and white underground comic classic. This guy's favorite comic of all time and has been since the 90s, and nothing has surpassed it in his mind. So this is the coming of age story of the Antichrist from birth to the event of Armageddon. But he's a reluctant Antichrist. He's even more reluctant than, say, Lucifer in the Lucifer Vertigo series or something, or the Lucifer TV show, where he doesn't want to be the Antichrist, doesn't want to hurt anybody, doesn't want to end the world. But of course, there are all the power players. There's the world religions.
That's why he's here.
The politicians, right? And the people who it's like, this is the prophecy. It has to happen. You have to play your part. We're the good guys, motherfucker. You got to be the bad guys. So you got to be who we say you are, and you got to do it. But he's got to find his own way, and it does all end in the event of Armageddon. Not in the first issue. The first issue is just the first 52 pages, but it is a 52-page fat bad boy. So look for that. That is on Kickstarter right now, ArmageddonQuest.com, or that QR code in the upper corner. And without further ado, I think it is time to play our snazzy opening and then bring our guests on and get to the topic at hand for today. Welcome, and here we go. Hey, welcome back, Lynsey G and Jayel Draco from Oneshi Press. Welcome back,
by the way,
guys.
Love that name, guys. Oneshi is just great. It's just great.
It's great.
Perfect. It rolls off the tongue.
It's got a nice mouthfeel, right?
Yeah.
On point.
I have questions about Armageddon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
First of all, does everyone that we're talking to out there right now know that Armageddon has 2 D's in it? Because it's a really hard one, right?
It is.
And there's only 1 G.
That's right.
Right.
Lindsay G.
You have to pick it. You have to experiment with the double letters, right? It's like Massachusetts.
Right?
Nobody spells Massachusetts on the first try. It's like,
who would ever think of that? It's
No,
like we're going to take English and force it upon this word that is not an English word, and it's anybody's guess how it's going to turn out.
Which is like 80% of the English language.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially in the Northeast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. But yes, everybody, Armageddon Quest, because I
2 Ds.
We put Armageddon Quest.
I'll even go put that banner back up there for a quick second.
Yeah.
So there we go.
We shouted out Armageddon Quest in a Kickstarter update to one of our previous campaigns and in one of our newsletters. And both times I was like, I can find this easily on Kickstarter by typing in Armageddon. And I'm a professional editor. I'm the person that everyone comes to when they don't know how to spell something, and I still got it wrong like 3 times.
Oh yeah, we do it all the time.
Okay, all right, yeah. I mean, good point. It's the title of the comic. I should have
done.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, you know what I should have done? The acronym is just AQ. I should have seen if AQ.com, because AQ is not a common 2 letters together, right? That might have actually been available. I should have been like AQ.com.
Has it or something.
Oh, for sure.
Probably. Probably. Like every 2-letter combination in known existence is already taken. Every 3-letter, every 4-letter, things like that. I'm sure that's probably true. But yeah, Armageddon Quest.
90s, right? The late 90s. It was like .com parking, right? People
Oh,
were
yeah.
buying up as many .coms as they could.
And
just
later
no
down the line, you're going to sell it for buco bucks because someone's going to
Exactly
name
what-
their company something, and then they're going to
You'd, like-
realize that
yeah,
someone
they'd,
owns
like, buy
the
like
.com.
GeorgeClooney.com and then be
Yeah.
like, "Hey George, you want your
That's
website?"
right.
You know, it was like, wait,
Yep.
kind of like
Every name, right? Someone like went down the phone book and just like
Yeah.
bought up all the .coms for like every name they found.
You know, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
We were assholes in the 90s.
I went through my my list of owned domains recently, and yeah, that was me. There's like
That was you?
75. It's a
Like I said,
problem.
assholes in the 90s.
Give us back OneshiPress.com.
I know, right?
Ah.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
What wine do you pair Armageddon Quest with?
you
Oh,
got
that's
to
it.
get the comic to find
That's
out.
right. That's
Oh.
right.
Oh, does it say it in the comic?
Yes, it does.
That's right.
Okay.
There will
And-
that will be the back matter, or maybe the front matter before you actually embark on it, right?
Yeah.
Before you actually read it. It's like, wait, go out and buy this.
Right?
And-
You
and-
thought you
and
thought you
possibly-
spent a lot of money on the comic. Now you got to go buy this. You know.
And there's
Yeah.
possibly coming an Armageddon Quest special episode where we discuss wine pairings with the issue. So
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes. But yeah, every issue of Armageddon Quest will come with its own pairing. I mean,
That's
we're
right.
Wine and Comics Publishing. How could we not? But you gotta. We're not giving that away for free, yo. You know, you gotta.
we'll tell
We're
you. guys off
fundraising
camera.
here.
Go back at people.
Yeah, go back. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Yes, you have
Seriously.
32 hours
Thanks.
left. One last time for our banner right there, Armageddon with 2 Ds, no other
Right.
double letters whatsoever throughout the rest of the name. And it is just Armageddon Quest, QUEST.com. Not the easiest name. I think the first time I ever posted that in a Facebook group, someone was like, well, that's a mouthful. And I was like,
Yeah.
damn it, it is. I'm like, I thought it was simple, but no, I've just known of the comic for decades. So
Right.
it's like, it's an
You
easy
know,
title in my head.
I feel like
but it's
the
not.
Antichrist is going to rise and be like, it's pronounced Armageddon.
Armageddon.
Oh, no.
Oopsie.
Yep. I mean, you got to trace all this crap back to Latin or something like that anyway, right? So we're pronouncing everything incorrectly.
That's
But
right.
folks, we are here to talk about the new banner that I just put up down below.
That's
The
right.
pack number 1 through 4. And that is Kickstarter.oneshipress.com. They couldn't get a. So you were able to get. Do you have Oneshi? You do have Oneshipress.com.
You guys have
don't
Oneshi,
you,
yeah.
now?
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say you can't add something to the beginning without actually having that like the main domain. So okay, so you do have it. Perfect.
Yeah, we bought it from download for
.oneshipress.com.
premium.
That's right. $75,000.
You're paying it off by continuing to guest on our show. That is
That's
like
right.
part of how we're slaving away to make this happen. But to introduce everybody,
blood sacrifice. So
Yeah. Which
yes,
I also take.
Yes, we're trying. We're curbing. We're trying. You know, he's backing off on that. We're trying to like wean him.
Sure.
Yeah.
Heard that one before.
Bad
Yeah.
optics.
I'm- yeah.
Armageddon
Oh,
Quest
sure.
is based on me.
The wine and comics pairing show. That's what's in
That's
your
right.
glass.
The blood
Sure.
wine.
Uh-huh.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Wink, wink. We bathe in wine, people. We swear
That's
it's wine.
We swear it's wine.
Oh,
So how you doing, guys?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Woo! Well, we are just about halfway through this Kickstarter, and
Yeah, you
as
are.
everybody knows, that's like it takes all of your attention, effort, and energy, and we're not quite over the hump yet. So it's like,
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
been
Yeah.
a slow start for this campaign, honestly.
Okay.
So we're really glad
We
to
feel
be
your
here.
pain. We do feel your pain. Now, ours was our first, so
This is
there's
our-
so many things that I'm
Wait.
like, it's our first, it's okay. But I've noticed a lot of our contemporaries in January into February now have been like, they do the first days okay, but not rare. Like only one person I know of in January did like gangbusters on their
Yeah.
first day,
Yeah.
or like right out the
Yeah.
gate. So it's been a slow start to this year, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I even know a few people that are like OG heavy hitters that have been doing this
Mhm.
forever that like just didn't get the traction they're used to,
Yeah.
and that's
Mhm.
it hurts to see,
Absolutely. Yuki Dog Zombie. Hello.
Hi, Yuki.
Welcome.
Yuki says she doesn't know much about wine, but she does know that she likes us and wants to hang out. So
There you go.
she likes that.
And Yuki,
That's
if you
always
make
a
it to
start.
the end, right? And if you make it to the end of the show when we start blah blah blahing about the wine, you're gonna know something about wine. Trust me.
Well,
You learn something, you know.
maybe not from me with this pairing.
Okay. Dallas went off the beaten path once again. Strayed from the purity of the wine.
That's right.
He is wont to do. We get all sorts of weird medicinal stuff from the kombuchas and the whatnot. Yes, Shadowwind art.
Shadowwind.
Hola.
Absolutely.
All right. So you guys are you're in week 2 or 3 at this point. I think you're in week 2-ish. This is the beginning of week 3?
Yeah.
13 days left?
At the end of
Yeah.
We just
all right. So we're So you're in the dead slug center of everything.
But,
we've actually had more pledges today than we did in like several days beforehand, though. So
well, that's got to be.
That's because you were coming here. That's because you were
coming here.
All the
hype.
It's the Armageddon factor.
It may also have something to do with the fact that tomorrow is my birthday. And
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Fine.
In my email. So just a little bit of a guilt trip.
Yeah. If you've been
works.
holding out on me for my birthday, folks.
All I want for my birthday is for my comic to be successful.
Right.
It's like,
And
look,
it's true.
look
I
at it
do,
like this.
actually.
If you
It's
can buy someone a $14 cocktail for their birthday, you can buy their $14 comic and read it and enjoy it. You know, free shipping, like all this other stuff. Like, it's awesome.
Throw it away when it comes in. We don't care once you've pledged.
I mean, don't throw it away.
You know?
Don't throw it away. But
Donate
don't throw it away.
to a thrift store
Put it in a
or
tiny
something.
library.
That's right. That's right.
Yep.
Gift it to
Yep,
someone else. Even.
Yes.
You know.
So what are the birthday celebrations? What are we going to be doing, or what have we already done? Depending.
It's a school night, so
Yeah,
you
it's
know
a
it'll
cool
be.
night. But I am taking a long weekend. We're going to go up to our friend's place up in the mountains. They have a hot tub and a gorgeous view.
That's the best.
Yes, we're gonna hang out up there. Probably do some like vegging. I want to do an extended version rewatch of the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Ooh,
I'm not sure if he's into it.
Yeah,
but I'm into it.
You know what I really want to do though? I really want to watch Deadpool 1 and 2 and like all the old Fox X-Men movies. And no, just like the Wolverine centric ones. You know, like
we can watch Logan over and over.
That's a good one, right?
I like how Lindsay's like, you could do some of those on your own, and I'll just be in the other room.
She's like, all of them? I was like, good point.
Not all of them. I grew up with X-Men. I love X-Men, and I did not love everything that they did with those movies.
No, I don't think anyone did.
Agreed.
And Sir Ian McKellen. Those two can come back anytime, but pretty much the rest of it.
Yeah.
So
well, you know, and they hit this weird high. Oh, sorry. What were you saying?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was gonna say the poster that I saw today was Deadpool and Wolverine kill the Fox universe or something.
Yes.
And,
really?
Yes.
There's like this big like the 20th Century Fox logo is like destroyed in the background and like in ruins and like I'm like, all right, I want to see this.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's now officially called Deadpool and Wolverine, right? They announced that title. Yeah.
That's great.
So yeah, and it is huge. And Dallas, I don't know if you like me and Dallas try not to look at trailers or anything like too much. Like trailers, like they reveal too much, and if it's something we know we're going to see eventually, it's not something that we're on the fence about, and we need the trailer to convince us. We're just like, nope, ignore everything and just go in cold. Like you can't ignore every image online or anything like that. But so when I rolled past I think someone did a cutesy Back to the Future Deadpool Wolverine poster where it's like Deadpool in the Marty McFly and Wolverine in the dock thing, and they were like sitting there like, whoa, you know, kind of in the old 80s thing, and I was like, huh? And it said Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm like, oh, that's cute. And then my eye glanced at it was the official title of the new thing, and I'm like, well, now I know that. But so you know, you can't ignore everything. But trailers we don't watch. So Dallas, if you don't know, Hugh Jackman is coming back as Wolverine. It is him and Ryan Reynolds. Yes.
Of course he is.
Together one last time.
In there though, that the reason to follow the build up to this movie isn't to get spoilers or anything. It's because Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman have this like BFF
Gay love scene? No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
where they like online are constantly at each other's throats. So like was it Hugh Jackman took like the logo of Deadpool versus Wolverine and changed it so it says Wolverine and asshole. And like
That's
they're
good
all
organic
fighting
marketing
each
there.
other,
Right.
and it's very funny.
That's
So,
And
good
it's not
organic marketing.
untrue when it comes to Deadpool's character, right? I mean, it's
No.
sort of
It
like,
is.
yeah,
It
come
is.
on.
Yeah, no, it's definitely really good marketing.
Oh, yeah, speaking
Okay.
of trailers, real quick, Dave mentioned we don't watch trailers, and I haven't watched. Honestly, I don't watch trailers. I haven't seen a full trailer in probably a decade because I just avoid them and they annoy the shit out of me.
Yeah.
But
Unless
I'm
it's
also
something
a person
my
who-
friends did, and then I'm watching it to,
Right.
watch
And then
it,
I'm just-
share,
I'm
like
judging
it,
them
et cetera,
silently.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
remember Apple trailers when that first hit? Do you guys remember Apple movie? What was it called? iMovie trailer. It was the Apple iTrailer where they had where they just warehoused all the new trailers. And this was back in the day when you couldn't access trailers really. So any film that was coming out, I lived and died by that.
I never had Apple products, so like I
Yeah,
just didn't
same.
know.
It was great.
Same. I had an iPod back like pre-iPhone and all that stuff, and that
Like
that
one of
was
the
like
big,
my
heavy,
last
clunky ones.
Yeah, the big
Oh,
heavy
yeah.
clunky ones, and then it was
Drop
so
it on your toe and you have to
impossible.
go to the doctor.
Right, and then you had to like download all this.
I dropped my iPod on it.
Right.
Yeah, and you
That
couldn't
sounds
get your
great.
music off it. That was the thing,
Yeah.
right? Is like you had to download these pirating software to just back up your music and move it to a new device, and it was like, fuck you, Apple. So yeah, never went back to Apple after that. I was like, this is a shitty ecosystem. Real quick, we also have I hope you have a good birthday, Batgirl /
Batgirl.
Lynsey G
Thank you.
from Yukio, and again from Yuki. I love the first 3 X-Men movies.
Yeah, it's totally solid. First 3 totally solid. Fun. Yeah.
The Last
solid.
Stand. The
Calm down.
Last Stand.
Garbage.
That's where I'm going to draw the line there. I think the first 2 are okay.
The bar is pretty
And
low.
this is sort of. So you guys, I'm going to ask you two, Lynsey and Jayel, where do you think the high watermark of the Fox X-Men franchise was?
Ooh.
What
first
was
one.
the height that they ever achieved, and
I
none of their
thought,
other ones have?
First Class. I really liked First Class.
Yeah,
First Class.
That was good.
I thought that was the best.
First Class was a lot of new energy, new blood. Yeah, that was
It's
Yeah.
weird because in all of them there was things that I really enjoyed and things that I really didn't enjoy.
Yeah.
And it was just a matter of if the parts that I didn't enjoy were enough to kill the parts that I did enjoy.
Yeah,
for
right.
me. Like
net.
Right.
Yeah.
it's like, did I walk away with like a net 51% thumbs up,
Same. I do the
49%
same
thumbs
thing.
down,
Right.
or like was
Right.
it the other way?
Actually, wait. I take it back. I'm just gonna say Rebecca Romaine as
Ooh.
Mystique. Period. Done.
Yeah, that
That's
was great
the high
casting,
water. Like
actually.
wherever she is,
That
wherever
was
she's
great
in.
casting.
Fair.
And
Did you like-
Jean Grey? Jean Grey's casting was great. She was good in that.
Yeah,
role.
they did a good job with her.
Yeah. Now, did you like the casting of those 2 characters in both versions?
I really wanted to like the younger casting
Yeah,
of
that didn't
Jean
work
Grey because I love Sophie Turner in Game
Yes.
of Thrones,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't.
but she didn't really do it for me,
Yeah.
unfortunately. I'm
So
not
they-
sure why.
It was
just
a
didn't quite
weird
work.
thing. They also
To be fair, the
Cast,
script kind of what
what's
they
her
didn't
name?
give her a script where she got to
Oh, Jennifer Lawrence.
shine. Yeah. Well, Sophie as Jean Grey, especially in the Dark Phoenix movie.
I was just gonna say
that
like,
was whoa.
right after Game of Thrones, like they tried to get those actors into they shoehorned them
did.
into roles,
Mhm.
They
but
really
they were
did.
not at all
Ready.
right.
They really did.
Not even remotely. But they had star power, and investors
Right.
love that,
Mhm.
and don't have any concept of
And
taking
global star
So-
power at that point too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
gotta
to
say,
Sophie
she
Turner's
has the
credit,
look.
she's now directed, and her directorial debut was amazing.
Yeah, I think she's very talented, and
Absolutely,
I, also really,
I love her. I think she's great.
I was Team Sansa all the way in Game
Sure.
of Thrones, and she got a lot of.
I'm actually watching Game of Thrones for the first time now, so I'm on.
Oh, really?
No spoilers. All right.
I'm on episode 4 or 5 of season 1.
Oh,
wow. That's the good
man, you have
stuff. Enjoy it.
so much pain coming your way.
Yes.
It's
I've
so
still never
good.
seen any of the TV show because I want to read the books,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to read the books until that final book comes out. So I may never.
Yeah,
exactly. But I'm waiting. I'm like, the books will be my first experience of the story. I'm not gonna let the TV show be that.
So real quick, guys, how was the lead up into this rollout? Like, what was the chaos? What was the wrangling? What were the highs? What were the lows?
I mean, the lead up, we were hyping issue 1 for free through our mailing list, and really, tried to get as many signups for that as possible to like just give people the first issue for free, hoping that you're gonna love it. And of course, when you find out that the 4th issue is coming out, you're gonna want to get all 4 of them.
Right.
And now the free issue 1 that we were giving out, that was digital, so a lot of people were like, all right, I liked it, I need to have it on my shelf.
Absolutely.
So mostly through our mailing list and just working on it on my live stream and telling people about it. Like, hey, I'm working on this thing today. It's going to be for this upcoming Kickstarter, and you know what I mean? So there was a lot of small things like that, kind of just for the months prior. Yeah,
but we also did a lot of like press outreach. We got in touch with you guys. We got in touch with some other podcasters and websites, and we have been, I think we've been on poolbox.com, and we just actually were on Comic Book Yeti.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I'm happy. I love the Comic Book Yeti, so I'm very excited about that. So yeah, I mean, we've been kind of doing all the things.
Yeah.
We've done a couple of shows.
Yeah, we've been on a few shows.
Yeah.
And yeah, we reached out to all of our previous Kickstarter backers as well, especially those who backed Pack in the past.
Right.
And of course, our mailing list has been Pack this, Pack that for the past 6 weeks or so.
Lots of free content on our mailing list.
Yes.
Yeah.
So on that point, let's talk a little bit about the history leading into this 4th issue. Real quickly, a couple more comments. We have yet another happy birthday, Lynsey.
Shadowcast. Shadowcast, how are you?
And I never had an iPod, just an MP3 player. That was the way to go. Everyone who had just a normal MP3 player and could move their MP3s around, that was like, I felt like an idiot because the iPod was, it's what you got as a Christmas gift because it was the brand that mattered. So no one wanted to get you a generic MP3 player. They wanted to get you the iPod. So then you had the iPod.
I don't know what family you were in. My dad was like, hell with that. Here's the $30 version. Knock yourself out.
And then we also have Dan Price. Welcome, Dan.
Oh, man.
Looks really cool. Yes, it is. So Dan and everyone else listening. Yeah. So the Pack. This is a comic. It is a pack of dogs led by what they like to call a pack of stray dogs led by a stray human, right? And let's get you a quick peek at this human because I love the design work on this guy. I think he is just one of the baddest ass little guys here. So you can see his little mask there, and he's got like that little like woolly vest. Yeah,
imagery,
I love that guy. So it's a pack of stray dogs led by him. They're kind of a little vigilante outfit, and they go around the city kind of protecting other animals from animal cruelty. That's a big thing that they're very focused on. And other assorted crimes, like if someone's getting mugged or something like that, like it's got your traditional vigilante Batman-esque, this is how we're also going to care about that. We're not just about animals and humans can go F themselves. It's like we care about good people and don't care about the shitty people. And this has a cool history though. And this is what I want to ask you about. So Pack 1, 2, and then there was some time between 2 and 3 because I was reading the liner notes of issue number 3, and you were saying how like we rewrote the issue, we went back, and it had some, there were some themes you were going to get into, and you wanted to make sure you were handling them very well. And there are a lot of themes here. There's police brutality. There's sort of corruption in city politics and local politics. There's gentrification and being priced out of areas and what that does to the poor and the marginalized communities. Then there's of course animal cruelty, and it all is sort of like issue 3 is kind of where it all starts to slowly coalesce together, and you're kind of like putting the picture together. And the cool part about this is each issue features one of the pack. So this one is humility, and that's humility right there. That's the name of the dog. This one is kindness, and this is kindness. And then we have temperance. And this, of course, is Temperance with this very cool sci-fi looking little mechanical helmet on his head. And then the 4th issue, Chastity?
Yes.
Chastity.
And
so
the
each
cover for that, but we don't have a printout of it to show on screen yet.
Okay.
We're gonna go to, I think it's on the Kickstarter page now, isn't it? So we can go, we'll go look at that in just a moment.
Cool.
And so each issue, and it's gonna be 7 issues all told, I think is what it's mapped out to be, right? So one dog
and then the movie
is featured.
And then
the movie. Right. Then the Netflix animated series, right? Dream big. Dream big.
It's going to be animated in that like arcane style where it's illustrated,
cool.
but like totally
that would be
so
cool.
90s. I would love to see that.
It's going to be the hypest freaking show.
I like that. I like that description.
Yeah, I know their bots are listening. I'm cheap. We'll sell it cheap. Just not.
And yes, thank you, Yuki. The guy with the dog mask is named Patience, so he has his own name as well. And I'm gonna assume issue 7 is gonna be Patience, right? We end with the guy, and of course we do. Yeah. There we go. Also, Ryan, welcome. Yo. Good to have you here, my man. So one of the questions, a couple of questions we're going to have here, but first we got to start off with the question, the really important question that's burning on everyone's mind. Why dogs and not cats? Come on. Why not cats?
Coming together to try to do something would be mayhem on a level that nobody is prepared.
That's a different,
They would all need the little sci-fi helmet controlling them, right?
And bushy-tailed and screaming at each other, and nobody.
That would be, and if they were actually to come together to do something, that would be like far fantasy sci-fi.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Fiction, but it's not really like far fantasy.
It's near fiction. There you go.
Right. Right. You can have one man and his cat, but that's about it.
In the same universe as Tracy Queen, and she does have a talking raccoon as a best friend, and she does build an army of cyborg clones. So anything might be possible.
Very cool.
Like, that's coming together for a common cause. I don't know. That's
maybe one of the dogs has a dream, and then the issue is about cats coming together.
Yeah. Actually, there is a cat. There's a cat on the cover of issue 4. If you can find it, I will give you a thumbs up.
Okay. Well, when we put it up on screen later, we'll blow it up, and everyone will have to try and see if anyone watching can spot that cat. We do have Shadowwind says it would be funny if you did a little side fanfic that's opposite world, like an adventure, like in Adventure Time with Ice King when he makes up Fiona.
That's Cake. A great idea, Shadowwind. I'm gonna hire you to work on it. If anyone should illustrate that, it would be Shadowwind.
Yeah, so crazy cat lady. When I said one man and his cat, I was like, it wouldn't be a man, would it? The moment that came out of my mouth, I was like, probably that might be a stretch.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's funny too, because we love animals, like period, full stop, but we have 2 cats and no dogs. So basically we live in a small apartment. It's not set up for a dog, and we take pets very seriously. So we don't want the dog
suffering for not having space and so on and so forth.
So Pack is our way of getting to spend some time with dogs, which we don't get to do normally. Yeah. Although we do pet sit for the dog upstairs as often as possible.
That's cool. Yeah, gets it a little out of your system.
It's a dog time menu
every time. And we've got Ryan then says, I arrived a bit late. Have we talked about the amazing 3D printed figure available in this campaign? Not yet, Ryan. Not yet. We're going to jump over to the campaign here in just a minute, and we're going to look over all the details. You've arrived. You weren't actually that late, so we're still in the preliminaries. We are chatty. So
Ryan's
you can take us
that mini.
100%. Yes. And then Yuki, there is a Disney cartoon called Super Kitties. Yes, there is, about kitty cat superheroes. I haven't watched it, but I've seen it on Disney Plus. So I know that exists. But all right. So the other question I had for you, the time. So with one thing that I was really interested in with these 3 issues, how much time was there from issue 1 to issue 3? Like, what was the timeline? Because there was a really acute evolution, I think, in both the writing and art, where I'm just like, whoa, you guys are coming into like your voice and your style, and it's like you can see it just shaping itself like issue to issue. So I was really curious what the timeline here was.
Well, let's see. I think Pack 1 was 2017. Is that right? 2018, maybe? I think it says it.
Pack 1 was one of the first things that we published.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
We published Great Nations in 2017. So we published Pack 1 in 2018.
Okay.
And, and Pack 4 is just coming out now. We're still putting the final bells and whistles on it. And it's definitely, it's when you work on something for thousands of hours, you're going to get better at it. It's just, and 4 issues of a comic is a significant amount of work that you spend on it. Yeah. So
well, and the first 8 pages of Pack 1, Jayel had already sketched up and laid out
and redrawn like several times.
Yeah, before we even met, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are from pre-2012. So there's been an extra long time for the art to evolve.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So like, 100%. My first few drawings of a dog were kind of like a potato horse with teeth,
Yeah.
And then, I just kept at it until I figured out kind of, how to draw something that resembles a dog.
But
and here we are.
Then he got
animals are hard. I've heard that.
A lot of without those guys, they help, but
very nice.
I keep my reference in front of me all the time.
That's great.
I have like a library of like thousands of reference pictures of each kind of dog from the pack. I have anatomical studies of like their muscle structures and things like that. So it's a lot of work.
A great baseline. That's good.
It's hard. Dogs are freaking hard, especially German Shepherds. They just have so much rough. You don't really know what's going on under there.
That's true. There's a lot going on in the anatomy of the goat.
Yeah.
Well, and the breeds are so different in terms of like, the dimensions between like appendages and length of body and their face and how it's shaped. And so learning to draw one dog is only so helpful in learning to draw the other dog that you're trying to do.
Until you get to the pug.
Right.
A pug is literally just a potato with legs.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, a
potato horse, LOL.
Oh, potato horse is a hit.
Yeah,
that's a good name for a dog. Potato horse or a spud pony.
Spud pony.
And I've heard a lot of artists have complained about horses being one of the hardest things to draw. Like, kind of under the sun. Yeah.
When I was
their legs work in different ways.
Yeah.
So, they do until you try to draw one.
When I was working for Neil Adams, we were doing animatics and animated commercials and animated comics. And it turned out for one animatic we were doing for a client, I had to take an image that Neil drew of a horse and animate it.
Okay.
It turns out I did it pretty well. So they just had me be the animal guy. And I was animating cows and horses. And
that's right, the cows.
I animated dozens of horses running, galloping, coming to a stop, walking, like everything. So now I feel like, what do you mean? Horses are easy. But it's like,
you have to really familiarize yourself.
I mean, just again, thousands of hours of doing it and studying it. And
I was like a horse girl, the horse girl thing, when I was a kid, and I had a book with like paintings of all the breeds of horses, and I tried to draw all of them. So I early realized just how difficult it was. And then I stopped drawing for the most part. Wish I could have passed that on to you. Sorry.
So it broke you trying to draw horses is what you're saying. Yeah, we do have a horse with teeth.
Sounds like a D&D monster. Yeah,
it does actually. It would need to have somebody writing it to make it clear that it's like a little gnome.
It's a mimic, like it's in like the
pantry. The butter witch riding the potato horse.
Yeah.
And then you go to like grab it, and it like gets up, and it's like, right. You're like, oh god.
Yeah. The butter witch.
But as far as the evolution of Pack goes, I want to go back to that for a second. We started working on Pack with the idea that we wanted a lot of like pretty intense social commentary, about the politics and policing and gentrification and all of this. But when we started working on it together, it was 2012, 2013, and we didn't feel like the world was, this is going to sound so pretentious, but like we didn't feel like it was time
pop
for it.
culture wasn't really having that conversation in the way that it
right.
did after.
So we had planned to sort of very slowly sort of ramp it up and get to the meat of what we were going for very slowly. And then 2020 happened and Black Lives Matter exploded, you know,
in the media
internationally.
Eruption, suddenly, which is great. You know, I love that was part of the mainstream conversation. But suddenly are like, oh, we'll work up to that. Just seemed like, oh, we are being wimpy about this. And that's not cool. You know, like we need to shit or get off the pot, basically.
But we also felt like we were not the people that needed to try to be leading that charge at the time either. So we stepped back from our publication schedule. We looked at our scripts. We listened, spent a lot of time listening.
Talked to a lot of good friends who really, you know, were vulnerable with us and honest with us and were able to tell us their real feelings on it. And some of it was hard to hear and really valuable, you know. We spent a lot of time talking to people about it. And
And then, like when we felt that we were ready and that it was just sort of generally the right time, we went in and we reworked the script for issue 3 and reworked the outline for issue 4. And I think it's better for it. But definitely there was sort of a jump from issue 2 to issue 3 about the speed at which we were introducing these ideas, the way we talked about those ideas. You know, as publishers, it's always like
sound speaker.
As creative people, you know, when somebody says, "Who's your audience? Who are you writing for?" Everybody's like, "Everyone." We were trying to figure out early on, like, can we make this for everyone? Can we make it palatable to people from all places, you know, politically and as far as they have feelings about social issues. And 2020 happened and we were like, yeah, there's some people that are not gonna like this. And what would be the point of like rope-a-doping them into the series? And, like, for them to
or softening it to where you're like, it'll be okay for you too, but then it's a useless, like it doesn't have an impact if you softened it that much, right?
It's just general at that point.
So we just we sped things up, and I'm really, really glad that we did, because now we get to really dig into those issues for longer and really, I don't know, have a bigger conversation about the things that we want to start.
And to your credit as a writer, I mean, to your credit as a writer, if I hadn't read that liner note that there was this whole rewrite and sort of like reevaluating, not that you went into quite that much detail as to like what the issues were that you were reevaluating or how you were approaching them, but you mentioned that it was issues that you were like, we needed to rethink this and come back at it again. It felt like a natural progression from issues 1 and 2. So so it didn't feel like this sudden about face or sudden shift where you're like, well, this is a different comic than I was reading before. It really did feel like, well, we're in issue 3. There needs to be more happening. There needs to be more that's being talked about in this. So it felt like a proper. I will say that both the art and the writing, like I said, with all 3 of these issues, there's an obvious progression of both of you as artists. In terms of, you know, the writing is getting clearer and more confident. The art is getting more confident. And like, even the colors on it are like starting to, everyone's finding what
just
this
the covers alone,
is.
Just the sort of
and the covers alone,
is
everything just comes across more confident. It's plain that everyone is feeling more like they just have a better footing on what this comic is and how they want to present it and what it's supposed to look like, what it's supposed to sound like. So I do think that is happening. No one wants it to take 6 years, right, to like get to issue 4. But if you have to take 6 years to get to issue 4, this is a really great progression.
Great way to do it.
And, you know, to speak to that also, the hope is like, because we do have only a few series that we kind of rotate between, like we're hoping that people who like Pac might also like, you know, Tracy Queen, and might also like Mr. Guy, and some of them won't, and that's okay. Not everyone is going to go from Pack to Tracy Queen or vice versa, and that's fine.
Right.
But for the people who are willing to give that a shot, it's like, okay, well, in the meantime, we're still building this world. We're still building this universe.
Yes.
So
and Tracy Queen is like a noir type of a book, right?
Yeah.
And I know it's very modern noir.
It's also gets decidedly more not safe for work with each passing.
That's right. You mentioned that.
It's got a very femme fatale noir feel.
Yeah.
It's also, it's very like hardcore feminist. Like it's very feminist. It's very like,
what was that look, Lynsey? That look was a little
Lynsey has won awards for her work in feminism. She's a badass.
Fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, I just like the idea that you guys are going there on all fronts, and also, kind of doing the work and making sure you're checking in and hitting the right points.
Well, and to that point of, that one is a very modern feminist, femme fatale noir version of, or a very feminist version of femme fatale noir.
Yeah.
The Pack has that, obviously the vigilante thing. You've got that 4-color pulp, like Dick Tracy, Batman, sort of like all those 90s pulp hero type things, like the movies from that era, like The Phantom and The Shadow and the OG Burton Batmans and things of that nature. Whereas this feels very like that, but obviously then going in places and talking about subjects that would be very in those movies, because they were so for everyone, because that's what all movies have to be, right, to make that kind of money back. That they do give it very like they give it some lip service, but it's very like, we'll talk about the fact that these issues exist in society and moving on, so it's like
moving right along.
Right.
Well, and a lot of what Pack is doing is basically saying like, okay, so let's say that somebody else wants to be, Batman, dress up as an animal and fight crime, but has no access to any of the wealth.
Right. What's the terrestrial version of that?
Right. And that also really just points out how much better things Bruce Wayne could be doing with his money.
That's very true.
Than taking down muggers on the street. Like
he could be changing the world, but
he could be literally changing the world. Patience.
He's chasing a clown.
Patience he and his dogs can only take care of what they can see at the street level, which is where they live.
Yeah.
And so that's what they focus on, but that's not where the problems that they are seeing on the streets are coming from.
Right. Not where they're originating.
Of a much larger system that is set up in such a way that these crimes are happening and they're actually driving.
That's right.
They're driving the people moving in and the people moving out of that neighborhood, the money moving out of that neighborhood, and the money that comes back in.
Right.
And the crime that's happening at street level is actually helping that process along, because nobody wants to move to a scary neighborhood.
Right.
And when we lived in Brooklyn, we saw all of this happening firsthand. And when I lived in the Bronx, I saw that happening, and in Harlem, I saw it happening, and now it's happening in Montana as well.
That's right.
And it's
every place that is not gentrified to that level, it's happening to. Like it's like we're running out of spaces to it's coming everywhere for the most part.
That corporate kind of
and a lot of like what you see or what you read in like the headlines or the the clickbait is like, oh well, gentrification is young white kids eating avocado toast and drinking lattes and
like
so
hipsters.
silly.
It's the annoying shit, but they try to pass it off as annoying shit.
Corporation,
right? It's not the corporation,
not
It's the hacky sack crowd.
Corporation.
Politicians helping them get their claws in when new real estate transactions go down. And that's the thing is like the mugger on the street surely isn't doing a good thing. They might not be a good person, but likely they're not out there mugging people because they feel like it.
Right.
Likely they're out there mugging people because they don't have better options available.
Right. Well, and living in LA, we have a very heightened homeless crisis that has been going on for a long, long time. And as the housing crisis continues, the homeless crisis continues to be just as exacerbated for that same exact reason. And then crime rises because the homeless folks there is a lot of petty theft and thing. And it's usually not aggressive. It's usually not violent, but there's a lot of like cars getting broken into and, things getting swiped off the street. And they're like, and we tracked it to the homeless. tent population, the shanty town. And it's like, well, right, they're desperate. Like that is what happens if you let people get sink to that level and they have to subsist at that level. That's what those are the options. And it's like, if we want to get
in congested urban areas, what happens? The people who used to live there move out because they don't want their cars broken into all the time. And then there's a vacuum created, and then real estate developers can come in and snatch that up for a song, develop it, put in any number of corporate entities, and off you go. Rich people move in. It's a systemic problem.
Which increases the homeless population even more. It continues, right?
By, money. And it is aimed squarely at disenfranchised and oppressed groups of people who are living on the margins already and are easy to move around. And I mean, we could preach about this all day. I don't have to be up on my soapbox the whole time. But
Jayel's like, I'm not going to start talking about it. I'm not going to start talking about it.
The pressure is building up. I'm about to uncork and be like, here's my dissertation on.
There you go. Channel it into a special edition. Well, 7.5. There you go.
The upshot basically is in any vigilante story, where there's crime on the streets and you got to get tough on those muggers and blah, blah, blah. Like, there's something bigger always going on. And if we're only focusing on what's happening at the street level, you're missing the big picture.
Right.
So
absolutely.
And an interesting thing is, like, you were talking about, crime fighting, right? Like, Batman fights crime.
Right.
Patience doesn't fight crime. He fights bad guys. Right. Again, I say, like, if you didn't file your taxes, or if you stole money from a bank, or if you stole food from a grocery store, he's not going to come after you.
If you're moving money through illegal offshore accounts, patients cannot touch you.
If you see someone steal food, no, you didn't.
Right. That's a good meme that's been going around.
Innocent, you know what I mean? Like, if someone's like beating up a kid, he's going to get involved.
It's got to be a lie, right?
Yeah, like, if it's like, hey, here's like 3 dudes, cornering a woman in the alley, like, he's gonna be like, what the fuck, guys? Do I need to eat all 3 of you? I'm not really that hungry, but I'll try.
Don't worry, Chastity is always that hungry.
Chastity is always hungry.
And just we got a couple comments along earlier lines into this: screw drawing horses. I refuse to draw horses in my book. We also have Silent Speaker. Hello, Silent Speaker. We also have Oneshi Press. Always great comics, though the Catfish comic will always be my favorite. I'm unfamiliar with Catfish. I'm going to have to look into that. Well, all right. What is Catfish?
There's a whole cascade. So
this gets very deep.
So, okay. Wait. I'm going to simplify it. I got this. Okay. So throughout, for example, Pack, you might see Ketis reading or playing the video game Mr. Guy, right? So Ketis loves Mr. Guy. That's like one of his favorites. He also loves Children of Gaia, because why not? In Tracy Queen, her roommate Nicola, the raccoon, he loves Mr. Guy. He's always reading Mr. Guy comics. Now, in the Mr. Guy comics, Mr. Guy's favorite comic is Catfish, and he's always reading the Catfish comics. Okay. But in the Catfish comics, Catfish is a cartoon, so he's kind of like a god. He can go anywhere. So he could, like, in a Catfish comic, he could actually show up and visit the Pack. But in a Pack comic, the Pack could never visit Catfish because it's a one-way cartoon power. So in this universe, the like lowest level, the baseline level of reality is being a cartoon. And once you're a cartoon, you can do anything because cartoons are gods. That's why you can, like, drop an anvil on a cartoon character and completely squish them, and they just need to stick their thumb in their mouth and blow, and whoop,
only if you live in Who Framed Roger Rabbit is there one way. Right.
So decidedly, like, Patience and Tracy Queen, they live within the laws of their reality, and that's how that goes,
Catfish.
But as you go down, the laws get mushier and mushier and mushier.
Right.
Catfish is all the way down.
Yeah.
All the way down.
I want to see Catfish now. I gotta go look it up.
I know, I do too. I'm like, all right.
I'll send you guys some Catfish comics.
Please.
Please do.
Actually, I think we already have one Catfish-centric piece of material going out in the mail for both of you.
Ooh.
Whoa.
All right.
Because
I'm not going to complain about that.
Knew that you were going to say that you wanted to read them.
That's true.
That's
right.
They knew it. They knew it. I got a soapbox about this, what we were talking about earlier on my high horse or my very large potato horse.
My very large potato horse.
And Patience stops real bad guys. He does, and then I think where this comic is going, with a lot of like what you said, like what Patience is doing, he's stopping the real bad guys, but it's low level, right? Because that's all he has access to. So that's where the other people that he's sort of befriending, if not outright befriending, it's a tension-filled friendship with some of these characters at the very least. He needs their help because he can't do it alone. Like his version of justice and that vigilante justice, Batman gets away with it because he's a billionaire and he has the other avenues and the other sides. He has that privilege to go after people at all levels of society, but just as Batman, that is limiting. He can't go after everyone for all types of crimes. Yeah.
When you're wearing a dog mask and being followed around by 6 enormous dogs everywhere you go, like they will not let you in anywhere.
Well, 5 enormous dogs, one tiny dog. One tiny dog.
And we got Catfish is one of the best characters ever. All right. Yeah, I mean, we're sold and they're sending us stuff, so we will this will be a subject matter in the future, 100%.
For sure.
So I think, guys, let's go take a look at the Kickstarter page. So we can get some of the details here. Where is my share? There it is. Share my screen. Let's go to the pack. Number 1 through 4, comic book series about vigilante dogs. 1 stray man, 6 stray dogs who prowl the back alleyways to defend the innocent and put bad guys under the fang. I do love that log line. I love that phrase. Put them under the fang. And as you can see, they are maybe about a little over a quarter, somewhere between a quarter and a third of the way there. 17 days to go, 55 backers. So they have a ways to go, but they have the time. That's not a half bad start. But yeah, guys, if you are watching this and you haven't backed this or haven't even checked out the page, walk with us here as we check out the page. And I pretty much guarantee if you're into comics and like just vigilante comics in general, you're going to enjoy this. And then this has that elevated messaging, which is not, when I say elevated messaging, I don't mean like it just sits there and preaches to you, because it doesn't. This is a straight up pulpy story. But it has, the content is there. They've put it in the story. So you don't have to search hard for it. You don't have to struggle to like find the context. Like it's there. And I think it adds another level to it because we've all read the basic, like whenever I see a new vigilante hero in comics that come out and it just looks like another 90s vigilante hero type of a thing where it's like, it looks pretty straightforward. And it's like, all right, I'm sure it's fun, but I kind of got that out of my system 30 years ago. Like, I really don't need to revisit just that. I do want something more if I'm going to read a vigilante comic. So, all right.
Don't be a menace to South Central while drinking your juice
in the hood.
Where the guy is always like, message, like every time there's a message. So that goes off in my head. If anything's being a little too heavy-handed, I'm like, message.
I like that.
Like, all right, maybe let's keep the message there, but just work it in a little better.
That's right.
Yep. And these are the 4 dogs that have been featured so far: issue 1, issue 2, issue 3, and then Chastity for issue 4. And actually, we're going to get to the big issue 4 cover here in a minute, because we gotta take a closer look and see if we can find that cat on the cover. But this is going to be full color, 70-pound gloss paper that is high quality, that is nice and thick for an interior paper. So that is, and having issues 1 through 3, I can guarantee, I can vouch that these are some high quality printed comics. This is a great image right here. This is actually from the interior of one of the comics, where he's usually, this is one of the quirky parts actually that I kind of like. This is a question for you two. So one of the quirky elements of this story is that he keeps meeting up. There's one cop figure who has this is the tension-filled sort of friendship that is going on between our main Patience, the main leader of the pack, human leader of the pack, and this one cop character. And they always meet up at the Tarbucks, which is, of course, the Starbucks takeoff, the Cthulhu-themed Starbucks version that exists in the Oneshi Press universe. And
I would never. I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't see the similarity.
Starbucks never even crossed my mind.
Never crossed. It's a coffee house. There's so many these days. It could be any one of them, right?
True.
So It's true. So they meet it. But it's curious when this guy is okay with meeting at these coffee shops, and he just sort of shows up time and again at them. What was your thinking there? Is this like semi humor or what? Yeah, what was?
It's a little bit of humor, but also, having grown up in New York, and like you would just be on the subway and you would just see someone in like sparkly spandex Speedo, do a cartwheel into the subway train, and no one would even blink. People would just like look away and make sure that it was clear that they didn't notice the whatever was happening. You know what I mean? So like I'm like, you know what? This is New York. This guy's wearing a dog mask and a crop top. Like
he'd just become another character after a few days.
He's just he's just gonna walk right into Tarmacs.
Right. Yeah.
And they're gonna fawn over the dogs.
Sit down, and no one's gonna look at him.
Right.
So like,
now, I will say, as he continues to be get into the news, though, because I feel like as the news starts talking more and more about them, I'm like, someone's gonna put 2 and 2 together here, right? And they're gonna be like the dog vigilante guy, who like everyone's looking for
in full uniform in front of big glass windows.
Yes.
Right.
But I think that also it's telling how naive James, the cop character, is.
Yes.
He's like little Mr. Rookie, and he wants to do the right thing, and he's gonna fight for justice.
Oh, and he's such a Boy Scout,
and he's
like
been around long enough to realize that maybe the way the police are doing things is not actually the best way, which is why he wants to meet patients. He wants to see if there's something to this whole vigilante thing.
Yeah.
But he's so naive that he's like, let's meet at Tarmacs and sit right by the window. It'll be fine.
Right.
Like he hasn't quite figured it all out yet. And Patience is just like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, Patience is like, dude, I'll walk right into the precinct and punch someone. Like he does what he's got to do. He's got no compunction about
and he has
propriety,
literally nothing to lose.
Yeah, nothing to lose. He does whatever he wants to do. Like a big freaking dog, like a big dog that maybe isn't super well trained,
Yep. And food holes. I appreciate that.
Holes. Food holes is my favorite.
Food holes is one of my favorite inventions.
It's where you get your full quality groceries.
It's where you get your holy grained bread.
Yeah.
All right. And going down here, we've got some more to do. Each issue explores the backstory of one dog. The newest issue, pack number 4, Chastity. The pressure on these brave pups is turned up. A police task force hits the streets to round up our heroes and put them behind bars. The residents of the neighborhood are siding with the dogs. And this is something that's just kind of starting to happen in issue number 3, causing tensions to rise all the way from the streets to City Hall. And readers will learn the shocking secret behind what turned Chastity, the sweet-tempered mastiff, into the ticking time bomb of wrath that she is today. And we'll take a look at that bigger cover here in just a second. But first thing, we have a couple of unlocked mini add-on. This is cool.
Yeah. So you can get it in that. The regular raw plastic and paint it yourself, or just keep it gray. Or you can get it painted by Viet Huynh, who has painted a bunch of things for us, including Funko Pops and stuff like that in the past. And he's a great painter. I mean, that thing is 1.5 inches. So it's like this big. So like those,
right? He's under the microscope, right? When he's painting that thing. Yeah.
Sharp. And he does a great job. It's
This is our first ever mini of one of our two of our characters, actually.
Yeah,
so
I mean, there's 2 characters right there.
Yes, very, very cool. We got a quick comment from Yuki. Spider-Man must feel so jealous over Patience getting to walk around without being yelled at. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like people probably don't yell at Patience because he's surrounded by a pack of dogs.
It's probably true. Right. If Spider-Man was surrounded by a pack of spiders, no one would yell at him. Let's just consider that for a minute. Giant-sized, half-human-sized spiders. Everyone would be like, you do what you want. You do what you want.
Including, all right.
Yeah, not even Jay Jameson, right? It's sort of like, no, you're just gonna. Well, I don't know. He might be enough of just a obsessive, compulsive jerk that it's like he has to anyway. But
all
right. So backer milestones. We of course we've unlocked the 50 backer Mandrill PI #1 for all backers. At 60, just 5 more backers. Sinners #1, Hope is Dead. That looks really cool. That is one I have not seen or read before. So that I'm really interested in that. Guys, help us get to 60. 5 more. Come on, 5 people. And 70 backers, Dusk #1, 80 backers, Espresso Detective. So that is one I've seen. I know of it, but I've never gotten it. I've never gone in, but I've been curious about Espresso Detective. I'm gonna admit that.
We're about to unlock it soon. And
yes,
this is for everyone. Everyone backing at any level will get these comics.
Right, you'll get it.
Yep. You'll get them free included.
And Silent Night #1 at the 90 backers, and No Spell Lasts Forever. There's another one that I know of, but have never read, at 100. So let's make it to 100. 17 days left, plenty of time. But come on, 5 backers tonight before the morning. Let's get it to 60 backers. Let's make that happen. Easy peasy.
Wow,
come on. Doing Kickstarters is easy, right? Everyone knows that. Let's just come on, easy. 60 backers. Let's do it, guys.
Yeah.
Humility is the $7 rewards. Thanks on the website and thanks in the book. And of course, One Tree Planted in your honor, which is always a super cool thing that Oneshi does when they do these Kickstarters, which since they're going to be printing comics, this is always a very important side of that, that helps balance that out, keeps things closer to carbon neutral. For kindness. Oh, wait. And build your own digital reward tier. That's actually kind of cool. Start with tier 1, then get your...
like somebody might want 1 through 4 in digital, but maybe they don't want to go all the way up to tier 4 to get that.
Right.
You can just get tier 1 and then get the add-ons that are digital that you want. The thing is, if you get tier 1, you can only get digital add-ons with a digital reward tier.
That's a quirk of Kickstarter. If you have a digital only pledge, you can only get digital add-ons.
Gotcha.
But you can go up to tier 2, kindness, and get the printed book, and then get any physical add-ons that you want.
Absolutely. Right.
We tried to put together some pretty cool tiers, though.
So far, so good. And we've only started. we're only on like the between tier 1 and 2. Couple comments still. Yuki, if Spider-Man had spiders following him, I wouldn't read his comics anymore. That's probably true. I will say, does anyone remember when Spider-Man became a giant spider? I think it was only for like 2 issues, but it happened in like the late 70s or early 80s. They did this 2-issue arc, and I mean, it was terrifying. Like the way the artist drew him.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like I was a kid and I read those comics and like I kind of couldn't deal with it. Like they had him like drooling and his spider mouth with the tentacles and just like, I mean, and he was a big hairy spider and you were just like, no. It was freaky deaky.
Fair warning. There's a lot of dog drool in these comics.
Joey, welcome, Joey Galvez, Oneshi Press.
Joey, hey.
And yes, those were awful comics. Well, getting back to the non-awful comics, we are now on to kindness, the second tier for $14. Thanks on a website, thanks in the book, and you're going to get. Oh, and I should have mentioned, you do get pack number 4 digital on that first $7 tier. So we did forget to mention that explicitly. You do get that as part of that, and then thanks on the website, thanks in the book, and you get the print version of chess. So everything from the previous one, but now you're getting the print book. And of course, you can build your own print reward tier. We were just talking about that. Once you actually have a print reward, you can start building that. Then we get to Temperance, $29. And we're going to add, so it's the digital catch-up tier plus Chastity in print. So you're still on a print and physical side, but you're adding everything digital to it.
Right.
And then we get to Chastity, which is the $42 tier. So kind of the namesake of this particular Kickstarter, of this particular issue. And here we are adding how to draw the pack digital. That's nifty. All right. Pack theme song. Very cool. Very cool. Is that an add-on, by the way, the digital theme song?
Awesome. It's on YouTube. We actually have it on the Kickstarter page.
Oh, okay.
Cool. All right.
It's such a good song.
It is.
Yes, I'm going to check that out. I don't think I have, and I need to. Do-it-yourself Mask of Patience template that will come to you digital. So I'm assuming you have to like print it out and then,
Here's
and then 3-inch vinyl pack sticker. There we go. Very nice.
Where are the dog collars?
Maybe we unlock that at a stretch goal.
We have to order the specialty.
Because if I'm buying something, I'm buying the dog collar.
Ooh, hold on. Let me make you guys big real quick.
Okay.
Hold that up.
Watch out, Yuki. I'm putting on the mask.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
There we go.
That is super cool. That is super cool. I will say the design of the mask is one of the coolest designs in like it's a really cool design. Yeah.
It definitely has that taste of icon. Yeah.
All right, Yuki, the mask is away. You can come back.
Yuki does not like masks.
Yes, be right back. Even half masks where you can still see some of the face, it's just no.
Not a mask fan.
Yeah.
Like even the Robin mask, like where it's just that domino mask where it's like, of course we know who you are. It doesn't cover anything kind of mask, you know.
Some masquerade masks are nice. Yeah. And don't do the nope.
I remember always thinking that, especially in Batman Returns when it was Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
And I was like, that guy has the most distinctive pair of lips.
Oh yeah.
Like ever. Yeah. Everybody's gonna know who he is. Terrible casting choice, honestly.
All right, then we have Liberty at $69, and this is where you start to add the catch-up of all the print tiers. So you're getting all 4 issues in print and digital, and of course, everything that came before. So they're all added on to here, but now it's all digital and print. Then we get to Diligence at $112, and this is where we are adding... okay, so you are printing the DIY mask. So you get the digital version, but then they will also print one out and send it to you, so you don't have to print it for yourself. 8x10 Kickstarter exclusive art print. That's very cool. Is that there an image of that down below? Here we go. Yeah. Okay, so this is a cool image. I like this image a lot. Yeah. That was the image that was actually at the top of the page, guys. So if you want to, we're just going to quickly boop. There we go. So this is that art print. That's a really cool one. I like that. Dun. And now let's come on back down here to, whoop, we went a little too far. Let's go back. 174. Here we go. 112. And we also get the Oneshi Press swag bag with stickers and postcards. Stickers, love them. Love them. Can never have enough stickers. And each comic signed. Awesome. And that, once again, that is your big Diligence at 112. This is cool. You're hearing the names of all the dogs you're going to meet in future issues as you go. It's like a sneak peek. And then, of course, Patience, our man dog. Or dog man, whatever you want to pronounce it.
Man dog.
Man dog.
The question of philosophers.
And $174. This is everything in the kitchen sink, which then adds the laser etched color changing light up crest of the pack. That is a mouthful. And that's cool. This guy, right?
Yeah.
It's got a little remote control, so you can like change it from like slow fade of colors or like fast fade, or just set it to like red or yellow or cyan or green or whatever. It's pretty cool.
Awesome. That's cool. And then really an original 5x7 graphite drawing of a pack member by Jayel, Draco. Like that's really cool also. Yeah, these. And you're holding one up. Hold on. Let me make you big again. Big. Woo. Gorgeous. That's nice.
And they're all one of a kind, it's not traced off or anything. They're all drawn
true
from
original art. Yeah,
lovely,
gorgeous. And then add-ons available at checkout. Starbucks Fuerte bundle,
coffee, and Tarmux merch. We have made Tarmux real. We have brought it into this world.
That's cool.
From the PAX world.
Off camera, if you don't want to reveal it on screen, I'm very curious where you got the coffee from, who you're partnering with.
Oh no, we want to tell it on screen.
Good.
Yeah, so we got it through Comics on Coffee, and they sourced it from a family-owned farm
in
Honduras.
Very cool.
So this farm is up at, I don't remember the specific altitude, but it's
like 5,200 feet.
Yeah, it's like where they say like beans become a different thing at that altitude. It's a whole different beast. And this farm, it's actually there are wild bats and bees that live there that fertilize and pollinate the coffee. So they're really careful not to use chemicals and anything that can upset the bats or the bees, because their coffee plantation is actually helping the bats and bees, and the bats and bees are helping the coffee.
Right.
So,
they depend on them.
Yeah.
So that's really awesome environmentally. But then also the fact that it's direct trade. There's no corporation that owns, trade rights with thousands of farms. This is like the money goes directly to the farmers, and they send the beans to
Comics on Coffee,
who roasts them and sends them to us, and that's it.
Yeah.
There is no other hands along the way.
Right.
So it's direct trade, it's environmentally friendly, and it's freaking good
really
coffee.
Good.
It's really good coffee.
That is really cool. And it looks like you got kind of a light roast and a dark roast options between the two right there.
And we've got these really nifty biodegradable plastic like travel mugs that look like the paper cups that you get at like a coffee shop. So it's like straight out of the world into your hand, but you can reuse it.
Yeah, they're actually thermoses, so they are reusable.
Very cool.
I mean, they're BPA-free biodegradable plastic, meaning should one day, years from now, you're totally done with that cup, it's just in bad shape, and then you throw it out, it will break down quicker than like
considering it all. Very nice.
Right. But it's not going to like break down from use. Like, it's not paper or something like that. It is actual plastic.
Cool.
It's really high quality.
That's great work, guys. That's great detail.
That is great work. I'm kind of pissed at you guys because now I got to go check all the add-ons as soon as we're done. I got to go back to my pledge and be like, I wasn't planning on spending more money, but fuck.
And for anyone who, for whatever reason, this Kickstarter might not be your cup of tea, you can get all of this stuff on our online store at Oneshi Press.
There you go.
So you're just like a coffee person. There's a way.
Yeah, that zine cover was my idea, by the way, Jayel, waiting for that royalty. And that swag bag, fire. And, of course, Yuki is back. And now that we're done talking about giant hairy spiders that drool, and I have been using my Tarmux cup every day. Yay! I imagine. I've seen cups like that. They're wonderful. Yeah.
Very cool.
Sweet. And returning backers, if you backed one of our previous campaigns, leave a comment on the comments tab. There's a link right there. And tell us what you liked about the last Oneshi Press, say that 10 times fast, project that you backed. And as long as you're backing at a physical level, we'll include an exclusive shiny hollow foil, say that 10 times fast, pack, paw print, sticker. Say all of that 10 times fast. Damn, guys, you are.
I think it's just the wine there, Dave. Calm down.
Probably. Oh, gorgeous.
I really love the way those stickers
That is very cool. And actually, is it just the foil, or is there, what's the dimension on that?
So it's actually
3x3.
Yeah, it's 3x3.
Okay.
And it's on holographic sticker paper.
Great.
So the solid black prevents the holographic from showing through.
Nice.
And then the areas that I wanted to show through, I just made a very, very light color. Nice. And so, it's just from experience of making enough of those kinds of stickers, I realized how to really push that effect in my favor.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm very
That is very good. Yes, Joey, gorgeous, shiny sticker.
Shiny.
It's that shiny object thing, right? It's like now I need to take it home.
Like that is
yes.
More with the dog theme,
Why back it? This series asks big questions about justice, gentrification, and policing, important topics that we're exploring in a comic book format, which, yes, we've talked about that. And here, if you want to key us at that, okay, you know what? We're playing this. Let's play this real quick.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Ketis.
Tell me about your neighborhood, Ketis.
I grew up here, but things are changing.
How so?
Slumlords let buildings get run down, condemned, kick folks out. After things are bad enough for long enough and everything's real cheap, they renovate, raise rent, everyone's gotta leave. Then new people move in. Bodegas turn into tarmacs, 99-cent stores into big marts, grocerias turn into food halls.
How is all this affecting you and your family?
Mom says we're not leaving. Dad fought and died for these streets. He was a...
Uh-oh.
I love the man. Lots of his friends on the force still come by and try to help my mom and me out. James and Carla are okay, I guess. I watch the news, though, and I see it every day. Some of them might sooner hurt me than help me. Because you know, all lives matter, right?
So do you feel safe in this neighborhood?
Well, there are those dogs. Some say they're heroes, some say monsters. I don't know. Neighborhood's all riled up about them. But at least they're not protecting the slumlords. They're protecting the people getting pushed out on the streets. They do what they want, but then again, so do the cops.
Thanks, Kiedis. People need to hear from kids like you. Email me a copy of that form I gave you with your mom's signature, and I'll get this video up on the site.
Yeah, okay.
Beautiful.
Very good. Very good.
Unit requested at site of the new Food Holes grocery store on Wilson Avenue. Demolition crews there to knock down the shooting gallery. We got a 1091V, pack of dogs refusing to let the crew onto the property.
That's my cameo appearance.
Lynsey did the birth of the meat factor.
Pack of dogs.
Pack of dogs. Refusing to let the crew on the property.
Yeah. Glorious, guys.
Good stuff, guys.
That was cool.
Yeah. I feel like that was kind of.
Here it is.
That was like where we realized Kiedis needed to. Our plan was always to have Kiedis come in as a more important character as it goes on and later.
Right.
And we were like, you know what? He's really the innocent character here who is growing up, seeing everything completely torn. And, you know, like his dad was a cop, you know, like he has that, but also like police, you know, all of those issues with like
police brutality.
Yeah, police brutality and racial profiling and, you know, gentrification. And it's just, it needed to be more from his perspective. He needed to take the lead earlier on. And that was one of the things where the plot didn't change, the character didn't change, but the focus shift was more just ramped up sooner, you know?
Yeah. Very cool. And another comment from Joey here. Kiedis definitely not getting that form signed. Which is
like, yeah, sure, okay. Another spoiler, that character L is actually from a Tracy Queen from Tracy Queen comic.
I figured she was either someone that was going to feature more prominently in issue 4 because that was the first we saw of her in issue 3 and the only bit we've seen of her so far before issue 4.
We also the first we see of her in Tracy Queen, incidentally, is in Tracy Queen issue 3. And she becomes
interesting. All right. Yeah. Good. Good.
Building a little universe.
Symmetry. Yeah. All right. So this is the Pack 4 Chastity cover that was just revealed recently. Dun, dun, dun.
In the private chat, send a link if you want to the full-size image on Dropbox, if that's easier.
I can definitely do that. And I believe I just did, let's see, where is it? Here we go. Share this tab instead. Here we are. So here is the bigger version of it.
The bigger,
if we want to
version.
That's right.
I found it. I found it. That is a tiny little, that is a cute little, I love, yeah, that's cool. I like that. I was a little worried when I first saw this cover. I'm like, I bet it's like down here in the shadows. So, yeah, exactly. Where it's like, it's a black cat in the shadows and you've just got to like find the eyes and maybe the 2 ears sticking out or something. And I was like, oh, this is going to be hard. That wasn't too hard, but that is tiny. I think when
you didn't know to look for it, I feel like you could not notice it at all.
True.
Nope.
That's
true. I think it's, we're going to go back to this one here. I think like now that I've seen it, I can't unsee it, but that would, if I wasn't blown up and looking for it, yeah, you're right. That would have just melded into the graffiti, you know, because nothing's like a single color, right? So there's this muddled color of everything. So that doesn't stand out. Your eye just glosses.
Yeah. That's like a gray tiger tabby, you know?
Oh, you're so adorable. Yeah, I want the cat, the one cat spinoff of the pack. Okay. You gotta get to that at some point.
That's right.
And maybe that's his first appearance. Little did you know, but there you go.
All right, we gotta name him.
Maybe we could do something like that in side quests if we have.
Yeah, there you go.
the juice.
There you go. And here's some of the interior art of issue number 4. And yeah, I mean, as you can see, this is just, it's really well done. I think this comic is just like really singing. This art is singing even better than, I mean, like, yeah, you guys, I haven't read this issue yet, so I can't comment on the writing, but I'm pretty sure. And this is from 2001 to 2024 between issues 3 and 4. So we're really, yeah, I think we're just seeing like these leaps and bounds in your guys' skills here.
Things are getting sleeker and sharper
and just, yeah, this is really good.
And issue 4, we're working with an inker, Jeff Folsom.
Okay.
So he's helping us speed up the process, but also has changed the look a little bit with the way that he does line work.
Sure, his inks aren't going to look exactly like my inks, but I've been actually, even just today, I spent 2 hours on a call with him just talking about principles of, you know, what we're looking for in the art and the line quality and
definitely
what's
heard
important.
Some yelling about corporations and banks too.
Yeah, probably.
Wait until the sponsorship deals come in.
Yeah, but I can see that, because this does look like, it doesn't look it's not a huge departure. Like, this is still your art. Like, I can see that through, but the inks are something, you know, inking is one of those art forms that if you don't read a lot of comics, it is really hard to understand what they are and what they contribute, and that it's not just tracing the pencils. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you are, because that inker's style, they're inking the way they would draw, right? And so that drawing style will never be a tintype of the pencils underneath. So it winds up being this fascinating hybrid of the two artist styles. And I think that is something that comics don't get enough credit for in terms of how fascinating that is as a hybrid art style between penciler and inker. And then you'll see a penciler just do the whole thing themselves, or an inker do the whole thing themselves. And that's where it really drives home. You're like, oh, they're nothing like when they work together. Like, they really become their own beast, pun intended, of the, you know, their own little animal of something over there.
Almost.
And yeah, I love that.
Almost everything that I'd done prior to the Kiedis interview in Pack 3 and Pack 4, I had inked my own pencils.
Okay.
And then I started having Jeff do inking for this and Tracy Queen. But then also Shadowcast, who's here in chat, inked Children of Gaia comic for me. And that was only the second person I've ever had ink my work. And looking at it, Shadowcast's inking of my pencils is very different from Jeff's inking of my pencils. And I really love them both. And I can look at them and see Shadowcast's sensibilities in what she did for me. And I can look at Jeff's inks and see his sensibilities in what he did for me, and see that they're both different from one another, and also both different from when I ink my own work. You know, like, it is very different. The layouts are still the same. The shapes are still the same, you know, because they're my shapes. It's my pencils.
Right.
But the line quality does change the vibe quite a bit.
Yeah.
You know,
it's been really fun to see.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, 100%. Love it. And catching up on a couple of amazing cover. Yes, it is. I really like that cover. We've got bigger and slobberier. Yes, it is. all facts. All facts, people. Kitty's name is Mr. Jazz Hands.
Mr. Jazz.
There you go.
Yes, that is correct.
Mr. Jazz Hands, the series. We need that, or at least the one-shot special. You know, inking helps the art come to life.
Very true, Yuki.
Yeah, very 100%. All right, and then we're going to and then how long is the theme song?
I think it's about a minute,
maybe a minute and a half.
Yeah.
All right,
give us the text. Give us the text. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Unit requested at site of the new Food Holes grocery store on Wilson Avenue. Demolition crews there to knock down the shooting gallery. We got a 1091V, pack of dogs refusing to let the crew onto the property.
It's very Mission Impossible beginning. Oh, God.
No!
It's the man!
When the pack's out, watch your back, 'cause I'm running with the pack now. When the pack's out, we got your back, we look out for the pack. In the city where the lawless run done took away your cuffs. Where the crime is on the rise and the property getting took. Too many cops and politicians corrupt. Who can you trust in a cold world, abandoned, beaten, abused? All alone on these dark nights, feeling confused. Every day was a fight, we had nothing to lose. You could have known these lone wolves would turn into a crew. Where my dogs at? They in the vicinity. Somewhere with diligence, kindness, and liberty. Ain't no holding chastity, she running with humility. Temperance and patience, protect the streets by any means. When the pack's out, watch your back, cause I'm running with the pack now. When the pack's out, we got your back, we look out for the pack.
Cute. That's good.
Right?
Yeah, that was
fun.
Cool.
That was written
cool.
and performed by David Geringer.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, he's done most of our theme songs. He did Tracy
Phenomenal.
Queen. He did our Tarmux theme song. He did.
Yeah, and he had the music on the interview video too in the background, right? Yeah, I remember seeing his name there. Yeah.
Yeah, he's also just a really cool person. So I encourage anyone who like needs any kind of music stuff done to get in touch with him.
Yeah.
Cool.
David Gueringer of Next Arc Studios.
Studios.
Awesome, guys. And get pack number 1 for free. So you can click here and read pack number 1 if you're on the fence and you're really not sure about this series for whatever reason. Take a look at pack number 1, see if that doesn't change your mind, with the caveat that the writing and the art does evolve from issue number 1. Issue number 1 is a very good first issue. I mean, don't get me wrong there. Like I was all in. I read it and I'm like, yeah, okay, issue number 2. Here we go. Let's go. But it does get like by the time you get to issue 3, you're already like, oh yeah, this is risen, from like I wouldn't have said that issue number 1 wasn't as good as this, but now that I'm here, I'm like, yeah, this is even better. So
Great. Thanks.
And then and then we got all the quots. So you can go down to the Erica Schultz writer, comic book and movie reviews, Joey Galvez, Collective. I don't know who the fuck that guy is. Then we have Nicholas Jans or Yanes, I'm not sure, Sci-Fi Pulse. Aaron Iara for The Love of Indie. I mean, this is a great number. Yeah, Lori Daniels, reader, Kayla Dunnigan, BlackSensitivityReader.com. I mean, if all these people love Pack.
You know, we had a lot of quotes. We had to cut it down. We were like, wow.
Yes.
This is awesome.
Yes, I understand. And all the people happily getting their earlier issues of the Pack. So
if anybody wants to send us pictures of them holding their issues of the Pack, please do.
Good idea. Good idea.
We would love it. We would love to be able to put it on our next Kickstarter for issue 5. Get our awesome team here.
Yeah.
Ludwig.
And Ludwig is a flatter, and then there's our David Gueringer as composer once again.
The mad genius.
All right, and why trust us? Oneshi Press has done a lot of Kickstarters. Like they're still here now. It's like you can trust them. No one's complained about them to date. Right. And what Kickstarter? What number Kickstarter is this for you guys?
18.
For God's sakes.
Well,
18.
19.
18 successful. Okay. Yeah.
And then the One Tree Planted, they're going to One Tree Plant for everyone who backs. So that's always super cool. All right. And then, the breakdown, look, comics cost money, guys.
Right.
And shipping your comics to you costs money. So let's just accept that happens. But if you want to see the breakdown, it's down here. We won't get too much in the weeds there. I think that is pretty. So, and then fulfillment is going to happen around somewhere in May. Or fulfillment will start in May and the shipping will commence in around June. So yeah, fast.
Beautiful.
I mean, we're going to be, by the time this is over, you're going to be in March. So that is like a 3-month turnaround time. So that is nice and cool. All right. Well, that
was fun.
Yeah. That is a killer fucking everything right there. No,
seriously.
Who the fuck is this guy? I don't know who you are.
Galvez.
Wave all you want. We don't know that. We don't know that guy. We don't know that guy.
Magenta next to his high.
It's squawking, I think.
What is that emote, Joey?
It's a wave. It's a hand wave.
No, it's a turkey.
It's a turkey.
Okay. Sorry, Joey. It's a turkey.
That's right. A great turkey.
You tried. All right. Well, we are now. Here we go, guys. Now, right before we get to the wines, we're going to get to the wines. If you don't know anything about wine, you're about to. And as we threatened at the beginning, But one more time for us, while everyone is still watching, not only is the pack going on Kickstarter, but we are in the final 32 hours of our own Kickstarter. We're going to change the banner that's scrolling on the bottom right there so you can see it. ArmageddonQuest.com is where you want to go. I'm going to put that into the chat here for everybody. I have typed, and to Lynsey's point, I have typed this word so many times in the last 30 days that I know, like I literally, I actually am a 2-finger typer, and I look at the keyboard when I type. Not this word anymore. This word, I'm just like, and I'm just like staring at the screen. Like it's done. So this is an actual 1980s. I'm going to throw a couple images on the screen just so everyone can see. This is an actual 1980s classic underground comic that is my favorite comic of all time, that I read back in the 90s and has been out of print for over 25 years and has long been forgotten. So we really want to find a new audience so people can appreciate this comic. It is by a man named Ronald Russell Roach. It was made between 1984 to 1992.
Or R3 as we refer to it.
Yeah, or 3R. Not R3, 3R. Got the thing right. But yes, Ronald Russell Roach, so 3R. And this is...
I say R3, but yeah.
But he's a reluctant Antichrist. He's a nice kid, but he's pressured into doing what he's meant prophesied to do, and he's got to learn how to navigate the world. And it all culminates in the event of Armageddon, and he's got some tough decisions to make.
Right.
This is our main cover of the series right here. This is an image originally made in 1984 by Ronald Russell Roach. New colors by Mata Sorcier of Sacrimony fame, if anybody knows Mata and Sacrimony. She recolored and did a little art touch-up because to make it a cover, we had to move the art around just a tiny bit. So she was, and Ron's in his 80s these days. So when he agreed to do this Kickstarter with us, he was basically like, if you're going to do everything, knock yourself out, kid.
Do everything.
He's right. He's like, we're going to do this. And that's great. And to be fair, he's been very humbled by the response to this Kickstarter so far. He keeps sending me emails and he's been loving everything he's been seeing. And I think he's gone through most of his life with not really getting recognized for this series. Like we do have, some people have recognized it. We have pull quotes from Scott McCloud of all people on the Kickstarter page. If you want to read, in fact, I think, did I upload? I did not, so I don't have that ready to post on screen. But we do have a pull quote from Scott McCloud, from Tom Spurgeon of comicreporter.com, who's an old school classic. We know that this series has been appreciated. There's a couple people, old school comics guys I've been meeting on Facebook right now that are like, oh, I remember this series. C. Edward Sellner remembers this series and remembered it from the 90s. So it's very beloved by everyone who actually reads it. We also have, this is our wraparound cover by Angela Odling for the book, which is a very beautiful wraparound cover that I think really captures a lot of the energy of the book and the mystery and the mystique of it. And then we also have a cover drawn by the writer Russell Novelty. So if anyone knows Russell from Katrina Hates the Dead, from the Cthulhu's Hard to Spell anthologies, this is his cover right here. He's always had this kind of DIY underground art style that I thought was perfect for this book, because this is a black and white comic, kind of in the Eastman and Laird OG TMNT. So let's pull some of the art of the interiors of the comic. So this is the art of Armageddon Quest. It is just glorious, like that heyday of black and white underground indie comics. You can see it's like, it's wordy. It's kind of a dense read sometimes, but he does, and it's all hand-drawn lettering as well, because he's a crazy person. But so he drew this while a lot of these pages while backpacking around Europe and being just this sort of free spirit in the world.
Sometimes on any of the paper he had available to him.
Yes, he drew a page on a napkin in a diner, but was able to scan it properly. So it's a crazy story of how this comic got made. It took him over from beginning of writing it and doing early comics leading up to this main series. It took him 20 years to finish this series. But it is all complete. It is about 900 pages in total length. And
actually, Dave, by the way, guys, just a credit to Ronald. The amount of research he put into this property is kind of mind-blowing. When we first had this property years ago, we were blown away by the amount of research and ancillary materials he had surrounding this thing. So not only is it a fully realized fictional world, it is just so rooted in sort of the canon, for lack of a better term. So he's phenomenal. It's just a phenomenal piece, guys.
Yes. And this is the Big Splash page. I love this page. I think it really does. It shows what he can do with his art. And it's funny because Ron's very humble about his art. He always calls it crude drawings. And I'm like, it's a lot better than crude. It's a lot better. Like, you know what you're doing. And he's all self-taught. So yeah, this is, if anyone's thinking, we have 32 hours left, ArmageddonQuest.com. The last couple things I'll mention about this is that we will be, here's a picture of the old 80s publication to the new one. As you can see, the pages have always been smaller than the traditional comic. So we're printing these in its actual proper form, its actual proper aspect ratio, not having these big white bars on the top and bottom and whatnot. And we are also doing this on the outside will be a matte, thick 100-pound cover, and then 70-pound interiors with uncoated paper to get that newspapery feel, because that is what this comic has always been, like that old school. You want that texture on your fingers, you know. So we're going to be doing that. And then last thing, we have a new intro. One of the other big comic guys that does love this comic, Joshua DeStart, a new NYT bestselling author of Vertigo's Unknown Soldier, Swamp Thing, Valiant's Harbinger, Bad Ideas, Orc Island, and Odin's Eye. He'll be doing the new intro because he has learned to love this comic. He is fun story about Josh. The first time I handed it to him the first time, and the story is like he read it, and I wanted a kind of a pull quote from him a while back. I was just collecting pull quotes from famous people or semi, you know, like in the comics world. And he was like, so he read it, and all the other people got back to me and they're like, oh yeah, here's a pull quote. And he was like, I don't think I like it. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, yeah, it breaks too many rules. It breaks all the rules, and they're there for a reason. These are the good rules, and I don't think this is how a story is supposed to be told. And I was like, cool. No worries. No
fast forward.
But he held on to the book, and he kept reading it. He kept going back to it. And when I was starting this Kickstarter, finally, we were just catching up, like in an email, and just saying like, "Hi, Happy New Year. What are you up to?" And I told him I was doing this, and he was like, "Oh, I've been meaning to tell you. I fucking love Armageddon Quest now." and I was like, "What?" I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad you can appreciate it." And he's like, "No. I didn't say I appreciate it. I said I fucking love it." And he's like, "And I feel like an idiot that it took me this long to come around to appreciating what it is." He's like, "This is a true underground work of art." And so he's going to tell his story of how he came to appreciate, because it is a quirky work. So I will say. Sorry, to catch up on a few things. I know a lot about tea. I actually don't remember what that was in reference to, but that was a little while ago.
Wine.
Wine. I know a lot about tea. Okay. Well, honestly, Yuki, if you ever come on the show, you will pair something with the tea. We allow for that. Whatever you are into beverage-wise, that is what
we like. A little Snapple here.
And thank you. Yes, amazing art. I love Ron's art. It's really good. I'm sure everyone who gets the comic will love it. Exactly. And I do think that a lot of people, it's a quirky enough comic. It might take a little bit of time to get used to the style, but it is a well-crafted. It's very carefully crafted. The story, the art, everything is thought out really well. And I think people do come around to appreciating that element of it, even if the first time they read through it, they're like, what am I reading? Because here's the true last thing I'm going to say about it. It's not safe for work. It is not for kids. It looks a little like it could be for kids. It ain't.
Absolutely not.
So that is something.
Unless your kid is the Antichrist, then
right.
This is a manual.
This first issue is not too bad. It doesn't get too crazy, but the future issues, as he comes of age, it gets wild, folks.
It's crazy.
And there's everything from coming of age, open sexuality, gender fluidity. This was the 80s, and it's all in this comic, and it's kind of crazy. Table. When I read it in the 90s, I just thought it was weird and wild. I didn't have language for any of this, right? This was not something that anyone was talking to me about. And it was only later, looking back at it, I'm like, holy shit, this is kind of, and he was sort of a free love hippy dippy guy back in the day. So it's sort of, he had these ideas that really translates into where we are as a culture now again, but with a different, like, you know, the emphasis is different. The politics and the social issues are a little different, but same open mind, same thing of like, you know, people need to be who they are and they need to love each other. And that's kind of what it's all about at the end of the day.
That's awesome.
So
it's nice when things hold up.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it does.
So now it is time for the wine. And what did we pair with the pack? Dallas, you are first this time, so you take it away.
I am actually. All right, people, let's get into
this. I have guesses, but
well, you may have gotten some hints based on what you've been.
Do you want me to guess? Right?
No. Go. No, not yet. No. All right. So So in general, what I do when I approach these pairings, just to reiterate, I pick the cordial, the wine, the drink, the beverage I would want to enjoy as a character in the world. Oh,
sorry. I was putting their banner back up and I clicked the wrong thing. There you go.
As a character in the world, or the beverage I'd like to enjoy or did enjoy as I was reading. And for me, I chose the beverage I would like to enjoy if I were in this world. Again, just a character in the background, sort of a Where's Waldo, watching all the mayhem, not really ever stepping in to help anyone, but, having a good drink in the background, as is my way. Because of the placement of the world, I knew I wanted something that kind of mimicked some of the notes in the air of this city. And in a city like, New York, or the New York adjacent city, you get lots of the rubber, you get lots of the exhaust, you get the food, you get, all the stuff. You walk by the fruit vendor on the street and he's got lemon scented everything, or berries out. It's just this sort of cacophony of stuff that, depending on the street, depending on the corner, just comes together in this sort of like seamless experience. And because of that, I thought I might steer towards a Syrah. If you guys are unfamiliar with the Syrah, it is an old world Northern Rhone variety specifically. And it blends well with the Grenache, and it's very popular, deep, bloody sometimes, particularly the Northern Rhones. What you find in some of the Syrahs, you find in terms of the tasting notes, you get lots of the deep berries. You get lots of the blueberry, plum. There's black pepper. There's olive. There's rosemary. Sometimes there's lavender, and it sort of mimics walking through all of these sort of ethnic neighborhoods of a place like New York, where
like old school delicatessen.
Yes, absolutely. You're walking through Little Italy, and you get the rosemary and the olive oil, and you walk through all the different things coming together. But the Syrah just didn't do it for me.
Oh.
And one thing about the Syrah it's not the Syrah. One thing about the Syrah that happens is you can often get this smoke on the back end, a smoky kind of, we'll go with smoke. It can kind of evolve over time, but it's a smoky thing, and it doesn't actually feel like, to me, my palate doesn't often feel like food adjacent smoke. It feels sort of like campfire smoke, for lack of a better term. If you can kind of differ, it's
so anti-city, right?
It's anti-city, so it's a little earthy, right? It's a little sort of the barn or bonfire-y. And because of that, I decided I would go with the wine of Mexico.
What?
I went with a Mezcal Ilegal Joven. So it is a lovely, lovely, lovely little mezcal. It has such it has such an acute smoke note that mimics what I find in Syrah. Sometimes with the mezcals, you can kind of get the herbal eucalyptus kind of thing. It's a great sipper. You get some of the, the cucumber, the pineapple in there maybe, but it does feel like the kind of thing you drink while walking through a world, and that's what I wanted to kind of do with this. So,
and possibly trip and fall after you get a little ways down the bottle. Absolutely. The walking, and there might not be that much walking happening after a short period of time.
That's right. But the dogs are around, so I'll be safe. I'm good.
So, and that's technically that is a wine. though?
No. It's just not at all. We veer out of the wine from time to time, depending on.
He does more than me, but I will occasionally as well. Yeah.
Is it a tequila?
Yeah, it's a mezcal tequila. Okay. Yeah.
And mezcal these days is like a very good high end, I suppose. They tend to be a little pricier than your basic tequila, Dallas mezcals?
They have different levels, sort of like Riojas. Okay. You get your sort of 3 or 4 levels.
Right.
You can this brand makes a bottle that you can get for $150. This bottle price point is around $40.
40?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's not bad.
That's not bad for a nice mezcal.
Mm.
This cat has been
kitty
for a while, so I picked it up. Sorry for this.
We love kitty.
Yeah. Animals are. I mean, we can't give them the wine, but other than that, or whatever else we're drinking, but other than that,
they make wine for cats that is catnip infused.
Yeah.
Right.
Berry juice. Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be berries. Too much fruit. Too many fruits are poison to cats, so that gets iffy.
It's food coloring and catnip. I don't think there's actually fruit in it.
Catnip infused water with color added.
Yeah, right. And the idea is that it's like, you can have wine while your cat has wine, but it's
wine, right? And gets just as loopy as you, and so exactly.
Oh, that's adorable. All right, Dave, what you got?
All right, so for me, it's interesting. Elements of this thing really demanded a red. But reds felt wrong this whole time. So there were things like there is the intensity of the violence and the situations that are in the animal cruelty where I was like, okay, that's dark, that's brooding, that's like that. I need something that's going to have a little heft to it. But red, there's also that 4-color pulp element of it, right? Where there's this little bit. You've also infused it with this sort of like fun, freewheeling Dick Tracy, Burton Batman, exactly what we talked about before, where it's like, but there is something here that is like taking those heavy elements and doing something that is like that pulp hero fun. And reds were too brooding for that. So what do you do if you want something with the heft of a red, but it's going to be lighter and gentler and more like a white fruitiness?
An orange?
An orange. You're going to do what's called an orange wine. And this is a Grenache Gris orange wine. Orange wines, the way you make orange wines is you soak the juice on the skins, just like a red, but they're white grape skins. But you soak them for the same length, like weeks to months. And because the color of white grape skins are never actually white or really yellow or green, they're all it's like a muddled, pigment that's in there. And it's like this yellow and green and some orange, and it always comes out in this amberish
over time
hue. And so what you get is all that extraction from the skins, all the tannins, all the flavor profiles that are in those skins. And this is actually the oldest type of wine known to man. Right. We just lost it for a long, long time. And it fell out of fashion post-World Wars. And after the post-World Wars, it became the right thinking is that all white wines had to be fresh and lively and never skin contact. And we just forgot about it until the 90s. And in the 90s, the thing is one country kept doing it when everyone else stopped, and that is Georgia. And Georgia has been making orange wine all this time without stop, but they made such small amounts, and we weren't as global as we are now today, that it didn't export and import anywhere else. It was just the locals that knew it and remembered it.
Now.
Right. And it wasn't until immigrants went to Italy and they were like, they would go to Italy and they'd make white wines in Italy and they'd be like, it's fine, but kind of light. Like I'm used to whites with like, you got to have some pucker. You got to have some punch, man. Like, what is this stuff? And so they started soaking the skins on Italian wines. And here's the other thing about orange wine that kind of, I'm not going to entirely claim credit because I'm only thinking of this now. But one thing that also thematically kind of matches the pack is like, this was divisive in the wine world. Like,
and honestly, it still is.
All right.
It still is. It's still like a lot of people are like, no, that is like blasphemy.
The tannic
and you are doing it
can
wrong.
be really gritty sometimes.
It is, but that's why it works for this comic.
Yeah.
So
it
is. So you've got, when you make an orange wine, it's going, one, you also age it usually in amphora. So you're going to age it in clay vessels. That's the traditional way of doing it, not oak or anything like that. It just preserves it and gives it the right, imparts the right minerally flavors to this. But you're going to get that bite, that tannins that dry out your mouth. But then you still have those white wine elements as well, where it's like the fruit is not big red dark berries or licorice or tobacco or anything shit like that. It's going to be like nectarines and peaches. And when the tougher notes is you're going to get like some pencil lead shavings and things like graphite. Like you've got these little like minerally components that get in there, but it's on that white to orange side where the flavor profile is very different. It's lighter, it's gentler while still having that bite. And orange wine to me was like that perfect. And this is what's called the Grenache Gris, which is actually what they call a pink gray skinned grape, which has this weird gray pink muddled color, but still comes out looking like this when you soak it on the skins. And it's a mutation of the main Grenache grape, which is a red grape. Genetically, they are the same grape, but they're just a slight mutation of each other. So the skin is different. Everything else is the same, and it creates this.
Good call on the orange. Yeah.
So it's got that lightness. It's got that fun factor. It's got that just, you have more fun with it than a red in many ways. But then you still got all that loaded flavor and concentration and harshness that comes in at certain points while you're sipping. And you're just like, oh yeah, this is the balance. So orange wine all the way, this Grenache Gris. Or find a Georgian wine. Dallas, you've pronounced this on previous episodes much better than me. The Riccatelli, or how do you say the Georgian version of that?
Yes.
Oh, say that again.
Riccatelli.
There you go.
I'm probably butchering that now again, but yeah.
I'm going to actually, keep talking.
They do, it's amazing the process, because they do, it's sort of, it's aged in these gorgeous amphoras that they stick in the ground, and it's all earthenware, and it's packed in earth, and the temperature itself is controlled by the earth. It's kind of fantastic. It really is. They have a huge wine viticulture tourism industry now. It's kind of fantastic. So if you guys are looking for a little romantic getaway,
I put the word in the chat. That's the crazy ass word you're looking for. Believe it or not, it's really kind of gotten out there in America. Like if you go to any wine, like wine.com, wine,
they're gonna have an orange
Total
on
Wine,
the menu,
Total Bev.
literally.
They're gonna have a Riccatelli that you'll be able to grab, because we've been importing it like a crazy person. I will also say a couple. And orange wine sounds so good paired with dark chocolate. Amen.
Actually,
I think dark chocolate. Yeah. Especially if you get a dark chocolate that has like those slightly fruitier notes to it, which certainly.
Although I'm going to say the orange wine is not going to go great with dark chocolate. It'll go better with a higher milk contact because of the tannins.
Dark milk.
Because of the tannics, the tannic structure of the orange. Yeah.
And if you guys if you ever look in the grocery store, some bars will be labeled dark milk, and that is the same cocoa content of a dark chocolate, but then they have added milk as well to it. So it's like this darker milky note, because dark chocolate has no milk added to it whatsoever. So then dark milk is just getting that cocoa content up there, but then also adding the milk. So like orange wine, best of both worlds, right?
So they're going to do that with the thing, dark milk.
Yeah.
It's not that you'll find like one bar in the grocery store that is marked dark milk. Like they'll always have like the one in the hole. I'm sorry, in the food holes. You'll always find the one bar. So many wine words being said so far. I know orange wine as a bad wine student, and I want orange soda now.
And actually, Yuki, real quick, the best orange and peach soda, even though they're probably really bad for you, it's a brand called Nehi, Nehi. They were really big in the southern and U.S. and Midwest, and the flavor is just so punchy. Anyway.
Yes. And dark milk, that sounds amazing. It is amazing. It is, especially if dark chocolate, like when you start to get to like that 75, 80 or above percent, and all of a sudden it's too much for you. You need that milk to calm it the F down and like cut it and like give you a little something. It is that perfect little zone where you're like, Personally, I love like 90% dark chocolate, so I don't need milk, but it is like when you want something to cut that, but you still want all that cocoa flavor. That's going to be your jam. All right, guys. Now, I did not tell you to do this again, so if you didn't, that's fine. Did you bring a comic you want to showcase?
Or have one? You just want to.
And if not, what would you like to shout out comic-wise?
Ooh, good. We did not prepare for this.
That's okay. I forgot to tell you to do it again, so I was ready.
Other than Pack 4?
Like what you're reading or...
That works. Just creators you want to shine light on, you want people to know about,
anything you've read recently. And I know when you're in the middle of creating your own stuff and doing Kickstarter.
A whole collection of Bone. You know the old Bone comic?
Oh yeah.
It's like
I have the one book.
Yeah.
Big fat single volume.
Let me show you what I have. It is...
Did he give you the colored versions from Scholastic?
We've got the whole stack.
Oh,
there it is.
So she lent me this. So
yep. The colored version's gorgeous.
Very nice.
That is like this is like a bowling ball worth of paper right here.
It is just shy of 1,200 pages. I had it all in one graphic novel. They released it once. It was called the Bone One Book, and it was. I mean, it was like.
Yeah, that's
like my hands can't even. If my hands are both on screen, it's too thin. Like it was like that
50-pound paper
thick.
That would still be like.
Oh yeah,
it was crazy.
It's a massive work.
Yeah, I had to set myself up at a table in a way that I could put the damn book on it and like open it and still be able to read it. Like you couldn't hold it; it was just impossible. But I read the whole series in that one book for the first time. It's a glorious series. If you've never read it before, you're in for a treat.
Awesome. I remember it from like I want to say like the 90s, but like I never like read the whole thing. It was just like what pieces I saw here and there, floppies,
I had gotten the single issues up about halfway through the series, so I had read about half of it previously. But then I was moving around. I was living in New York, didn't have storage space. I stopped getting single issue comics for a long time. And I was just like, so when that one book finally came out, I'm like, I never finished it. I need to do this now. And yeah, it's a glorious book.
Can I put you on the spot and ask what you would pair with Bone?
Oh, what would I pair with Bone? Tell you what, Lynsey, name your comic if you can think of it while I give this just a touch of thought. And me and Dallas both.
I'm actually looking it up because I have been doing some freelance proofreading for IDW, and there was one that I worked on recently that was really good, and I'm trying to look it up to see if it came out yet or not, because I'm not sure if I'm supposed to talk about it.
Okay.
It doesn't look like it actually. I didn't sign anything, so I don't think it's like a secret.
You didn't sign a non-disclosure agreement.
That's right.
I did not sign a non-disclosure agreement.
And if anyone's like, "Oh, here's a non-disclosure agreement," be like, "Cool, here's my NDA fee."
It's called Void Crusader.
Ooh, okay.
I'm trying to find the name of the writer, but I'm not having any luck. I'm scrolling through my emails with the editor. I don't know how to describe it properly. It's sort of a fantasy post-apocalyptic time travel dimension hopping situation.
Right.
And it focuses heavily on AI and robots, and that's all I can really say. But the visuals are just stunning. It's one of those styles that is very simple drawings, but the color palettes play into, like, depending on what dimension or time frame you're in, the color palette will be slightly different to help like clue you in, and it's all just so aesthetically pleasing. And the story starts out seeming very simple, but it is sort of an Ouroboros that just keeps circling in until it like explodes. It's really well paced, well written, beautiful to look at, and I think it should be out in the next few months. So anyone into IDW kind of weird indie stuff,
what would you pair it with?
I'd pair it with I don't know. I'm gonna have to ponder that.
Also,
maybe like a brandy.
Oh,
okay.
Like it's. I feel like it's heavy hitting enough that a spirit is in order.
Like a sweet brandy, or like a more like.
No, not like a sweet syrupy, like a nice brandy.
Yeah.
Like it's something that I could have in a snifter and feel very like dignified while drinking or while reading, but it still hits hard, and it's nice and palatable, but also has a punch to it.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Awesome. And so for Bone, for me, I will say, and I do have a couple more. Last one, 90% dark chocolate for the win. I 100% agree with that. Never seen that brand before, and I had dark chocolate before, and I like it. And what do you think of Bone? I'll tell you a little bit with my pairing option. I mean, I love it. It's really well done. Bone is one of those things where the art, Jeff Smith is so impeccable with, he's got comedic timing in still image art. Like, he was born to do comedy while also putting together this epic fantasy that is like Lord of the Rings level.
Yeah.
And the two, I've never seen anyone put those two things together and have it sing the way this does. Like, it veers. And to be fair, the second half of the series, because he has to get to the point and wrap things up, the comedy starts to take a back seat compared to the first half of the series. So you get more serious as it goes, but it starts light. And for that reason, I think you have to pair two different wines for the first half and the second half of the series. I think as it becomes more epic, and as they start getting into like the true Lord of the Rings part, where it's like, now it's an epic quest, now characters are dying, now things are getting real, very, very real. Whereas things were a little slightly Looney Tunes cartoon in the first half. You had this almost Three Stooges humor with the three Bone cousins. And the concept is these three, the character on the front cover, if you want to hold up the front cover of number 1 there, JL, these are, you can see they're drawn like a Looney Tunes or like a cartoon strip character.
Yeah, prime comic characters.
Like, they're all white, like a bone, right? And so this is Phone Bone. But you can see there's a shadow of a dragon character in the background there. So you have Phone Bone, you have Phony Bone, who's who's the scam artist brother of the three that's always trying to get into, he's always trying to rip off the locals and like become any. So, and Phony, like, basically they were run out of Boneville. There you go. Yep. And then Smiley is the long-nosed one. So Smiley is the thin, long-nosed one. And they're very much a Three Stooges couple, though Phone Bone is the main character. Phony and Smiley are the backups. And they get into all these hijinks. They've been run out of something called Boneville that doesn't matter. Like, you hear about it, but they're in this new world, this new area on the map. And they're like, where are we? And then they fall into this village and they start befriending people. And then somehow they run afoul of, like, someone sees the Bone Brothers and they're like, they're the ones from the prophecy. And then all this shit starts to go down. And they're not heroes. They don't even know what this world is they're in. And they're basically from a different comic kind of a thing, that they've wandered into this high epic fantasy comic and become the center of it all. And then it's all about learning what this world is, what the backstory is, how they play into it, and learning to find their way without dying and without getting other people killed, which sometimes works out, sometimes doesn't. And it gets more serious as it goes. So I would say, and look at that. Yuki never heard of Bone before. Yuki, Google that.
Welcome.
Google that. Jeff Smith, Bone. Yes, and you're welcome. Or JL says you're welcome. And Yuki, I will say it does get darker later on. Gonna warn you. Yes. It does. But it really, like, it's a gentle entrance to the whole thing. And the humor at those first early issues, like, I laughed out. I think it was the first time I laughed out loud at a comic. And I don't think I'd ever done that before, where the punchlines are so pitch perfectly on that page turn and on that right at the right panel where you're like, okay, that was funny. Holy shit. Like, that was masterful. I love that. And then he also weaves these narratives. And then we also have, I'll pass on it. I'm not good with dark stuff. Yeah, no worries. True. The darker stuff, it is still high fantasy. So if you like the Lord of the Rings, compare it to that. If that's too dark for you, this is too dark for you. Yeah. If Lord of the Rings is not too dark for you, you're good to go. But I feel like that's your test. You're taking the temperature with that. So the first half of Bone, I would give it something like a Beaujolais. which is where you're going to just get that light, fruity gentleness. I mean, you want it to go with the humor. You want it to go with all these fun fantasy characters in this town. There's this old granny character that is like the toughest character in the whole comic and can do some like really amazing things. She runs a cow race that becomes a whole, like, it goes on for issues, like this cow race thing. I mean, but it's so brilliantly done. You're invested. And then, of course, Phony Bone starts a whole con scam around the cow race, and then everyone's fighting each other for how this cow race is going to end up. So you start out with just this light, freewheeling, and then the dark stuff is just in the background, and it's percolating, and you see it there, and it keeps you going, but it's very much in the background with only moments of, you know, something intense happening. There are these things called the rat creatures, and there's a fun part. The lower level rat creatures are really stupid, and the quote from the comic is "stupid, stupid rat creatures," which is what everyone yells because the rat creatures try to get them and eat them, and they're so dumb they bungle everything and make things way worse. And they're like, as they're even being chased, the people, right? Yeah. They're like, everyone shouts "stupid, stupid rat creatures" even as they're running for their life because the rat creatures are so dumb.
Stupid rat creatures,
right? But there is like a leader of the pack, and that leader of the pack is fucking terrifying when you get to it. So it's like I said, it walks you into it, and then when things get terrifying, it's also, and I think it's the thing I love about Jeff Smith. The humor is so spot on, but the feels like the actual
like
tension
all of it, everything he does feels genre, and like
right, and you're like, whoa, that is a terrifying image. Yeah. Where did that come from? And now you're actually feeling the chills from it. Like he's really
that's where
good.
You might not like it.
Yeah, I think so. We have sounds like Mr. Guy could be tipping the hat to Bone. Mr. Guy, I don't know that. What is Mr. Guy? Anybody know?
Oh, you'll know soon enough.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha. That's why I don't know what Mr. Guy is. Gotcha. I love the Lord of the Rings, but don't want to see cute characters get hurt. This is true. And that will, the cutest characters kind of don't get hurt.
Yeah,
but
no, they're good.
You might find some of the characters get hurt still cute. So it's true. That will be a line. Stupid, stupid rat creatures, exactly. And quiche, just quiche. That's another line that you quote from. The rat creatures, one rat creature only wants quiche, doesn't want to eat anybody. Right. And all the other rat creatures give him shit for it because they're like, you're a cannibal. Like, what is wrong with you? And he's like, I just want a nice quiche. No one's cooked me a nice quiche in forever. So it's one of those comics. Like it is a seesaw because it gets honest to God serious and then goes back to I just want a nice quiche. And you're like, what is this comic? What is happening? So I think a Beaujolais for the first half, something, or a light red of some kind, cooler climate Grenache, something where you're just going to be on the light red, more transparent. If you get a bottle and it's more transparent and it's light in red color, high acidity, gentle body, that's your red for the first half. And honestly, to Dallas's point, I think Syrah for the second half. You're going to want something with dimension. You're going to want something with layers because those layers are always still there, but now it's brooding. And now it's like kicking your butt. And this is where you're going to want that Syrah to come in. That's my off the cuff.
I'm going to take a slightly different route, and mine will be much quicker this time. Usually I'm the long-winded one. But I think if I were going to give the sort of omnibus, the tome to someone as a gift with a bottle of wine that sort of characterizes the experience of reading Bone, it's probably going to be I'm going to say it. It's a sparkling. It's a sparkling, but because of the bubbly nature of like I said, the first half, it's just so fun, and the comedy is so funny, and the foibles are so funny, and it's just so genre and so just.
I agree with that. I'm not the biggest sparkling fan.
Me either at all. I'm not at all.
I agree with the pairing. Yeah.
But the same way.
But it's going to be probably a pure Chardonnay. Again, I'm not a Chardonnay fan in general, just across the board actually. But I remember having a very specific sparkling, I guess, Christmas of last year, the year before. But it was an English, a UK
Yeah, they're getting good apparently.
Oh my God!
With climate change, they're actually getting good.
Right, but they aged.
The silver lining.
It's aged in. Yeah. There's always a silver lining, right? But it's aged in Burgundy and lower oak barrels, and it's a malolactic fermentation, and it's got this crazy, deep, sort of ruddy, like. I don't want to say sexy. Sexy is the wrong word, but it's got this like apple pie, cinnamon, like mango thing on the bottom, and Moorish. It's Moorish. It's got a Moorish
little
finish.
Tropical, little baking, little yeasty baking thing kind of going on. Yeah,
it's Moorish. Yeah, it's sort of it's just so it's fun. It's a fun drink. Yeah. And it's also rich and ruddy and earthy at the same time.
If it's UK, it's probably not that bad in price either.
Not at all.
They're not commanding high prices yet. No one knows that they're getting better, or no one agrees that they're getting better 100% yet. They're still like, that's
I think they were.
Come on.
I think the house was called Ridgeview, something like that. Yeah. Anyway, so a sparkling, a nice refined sparkling.
Positively reeks of new money. Just
Meanwhile, we're seeing like, $20-$30 bottles of ale this big in our grocery store.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like like a 16-ounce bottle of like ale that's just like $30. I'm like, I really need to know what that's like, but
I can also brew my own at home.
Yeah,
right.
I don't have that kind of comic book money yet.
No, but there's that curiosity, right? You're like, you just want to know.
Buy one of those,
right?
That's right. Great stuff, 100%. Guys. Great stuff.
Any last words for the people watching? Any last thing we didn't say, or you wanted to repeat before we go?
I have a message for folks who are watching. Tomorrow is my birthday.
Yes.
And all I want for my birthday is for this comic to do well, because I wrote it and I love it, and I think it's really getting better with every issue.
It is.
And I want you to have a copy of the new issue and all of the other issues. So if you want me to have a happy birthday, I strongly recommend that you visit kickstarter.oneshipress.com.
That's right.
Or just search for The Pack. You'll find it.
Look, it's okay that Lynsey is sad sometimes, but you don't want to be the reason, right?
Right.
They'll send the pack after you. They'll send the pack after you.
That sometimes people are sad. That happens, but don't be the reason.
It does happen. But yeah, when you get a nice little bump in, especially in the middle of a campaign, when people actually go and like increase their pledge, which I think I'm going to do as soon as we sign off because of what we just walked through, and I need that coffee in my life.
We got some good add-ons.
So there's a few things there that I got to debate on what my bandwidth is, but I'm going back. So there will be that. But yeah, and everyone else, yes, if you can increase, if that is within your bandwidth, if you can consider it, or if you haven't backed yet, please go and check that out. Right. Getting that nice bump in the middle of the campaign. Now that I've done my own campaign, I know it makes you feel so good. You are on dopamine for your birthday when that hits.
That's what I would like for my birthday.
If you hit that. So that's what she needs. And final comments, a sophisticated sparkling is one I agree with for Bone. Dallas is the winner of that pairing. And we have the best people are born in February.
All right, calm down.
Amen. Lynsey.
All right, calm down.
Lynsey's going to agree. I don't know. I mean, sure. Why not? I'll
calm down. November's in the room. Okay.
Once we're in March, we're in February right now, so that is the truth. While we're in February, then when we're in March, everyone in March is the best, or the born in March are the best people in the world, and so on and so forth. We'll keep going down that line, and then happy birthday, Batgirl Lynsey G. To all of us, happy birthday, Lynsey. Right, we hope the best for all of this. Yes, happy birthday, Lynsey, and for the pack. Bark Day. Aha.
Happy early birthday, Dave and Dallas.
No.
Thank you. We'll probably see you again. Mine's not till July. We'll probably see you again before then. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But good night, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Guys. This has been a blast. And we will catch you next time on the Wine and Comics Pairing Show. Good night.